Okay, thank you. So my screen is sharing, no, for everyone.
Yes.
Yeah, okay, thank you. So let's start. Thank you to all guests to attending this online lecture and for HCU to hosting this also course. My name is Yuar Nouri. I am the Chief Executive Officer Reparametrize and also with my partner co-founder Bilal. In April 2020, we were honored to co-host this exciting workshop actually with HafenCity Universität Hamburg together with Prof. Karsten and tutor Mahmoud Aini and Dr. Kinda from Jazeera University. It's called Echo of Children Recording Postwar Syria. This summer course is co-hosted by Reparametrize and HCU and sponsored by Jazeera University.
So now he's cut off, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I know.
We lost him again.
Yeah, so I will listen.
Siwa, are you back again?
He's coming back.
He's coming back.
Sorry. I don't know. I mean, what's happening for the internet?
No problem at all. All right.
I hope, I didn't do something. Just like we're like in April 2020, we were honored to co-host this exciting workshop with HafenCity University together with Prof. Karsten and tutor Mahmoud and Dr. Kinda from Jazeera University. It's called Echo of Children Recording Postwar Syria. And this summer's course, it was co-hosted by Reparametrize and HCU and sponsored by GBU, like a Jazeera private university. Actually, this course, it was a big challenge for all of us. I mean, since it's starting like during the Corona crisis, and also like it was between two different backgrounds, between German and Syria, and it was a big challenge for all of us, especially it was online. Let me just like to briefly just like introduce about Reparametrize, because this course is as a part of Reparametrize ongoing research recording post-war Syria. We have organized and co-hosted multiple international workshop, and Reparametrize, it's established in 4 countries, Syria, Lebanon, Austria, and China. And our global vision is to introduce state-of-the-art technological in the architecture discipline. As a part of Reparametrize City ongoing research recording post-war Syria, we have organized and co-hosted multiple international workshop conferences and exhibitions in Europe, Middle East, and China. And one of the highlight 2019 was one of the, of course, the Eye of the City Shenzhen Biennale invited by Carlo Ratti Associati, which showcased 2 years worth of research and development over the post-war smart city redevelopment of Damascus, Syria. We brought the past, present, and future of this city right in front of our Chinese audience through sophisticated 360-degree projection mapping. Our core competence lay in the field of artificial intelligence and smart city. Recently featured in ArcDaily, we are one of the first company to apply 3D scanning and AI-driven data analytic methodology for post-war smart city redevelopment of Damascus, Syria. Our vision, of course, goes beyond the redevelopment of the city of Damascus, and we are looking to be the next leader in the post-disaster urban development, offering a proprietary state-of-the-art technological solution for a smarter and more connected city. So again, like Echo of Children, it's a joint research and summer online course. The research aims to teach thinking strategy for dealing with the post-war phase by focusing on children and developing building materials from destruction and using digital design technique. Find the link between the effect of for children behavior and remaining resource in order to develop and exchange experience information to reach interactive productive. The course, it was have 5 phases. The phase 1, it was the research phase, data collection. Phase 2, it was material system and project development, and then location and strategy, design processes, and the end it would be the fabrication processes. We invite a lot of a guest lecture with a different topic regard each linking to the research phase or each phase we have it. And the end, we had Patrick Schumacher as the final guest, was talking about the role of parametricism. Most of you, they were there in the lecture. The course aimed at creating an intervention at specific site within this sensitive and extraordinary context, providing a space for children live by taking into account certain parameters such as the remaining building structure, the use of alternative, and the site-specific construction material and technique. In this course, we are focused on rethinking the methodology of temporary architectural practice in the environment, aiming to find connection between war effect behavior of children, remaining resources, and temporary project in order to form a pilot project as one-to-one prototype through developing student knowledge about reusing material competition as essential mean for the change in the affected area by the developed sample of the recycled material produced from the war waste rubble. The course is an integrated work program from gathering information, researching and studying to manufacturing and creating new material out of rubble to developing the new methodology of recycling war material and implementing this new material in the process of rehabilitation in the fabrication of new prototype. I wouldn't like just go like further, but I mean like I would like also get like all of you gentlemen like just like to introduce our guests today. I mean from different field. I mean we have today with us Dr. Rafi Haqqi, like he's the head of architecture department from Rashid University. We have like a Prof. Okba Fakush, the Dean of Faculty of Architecture from Damascus University. Dr. Mofad Oman, he's the Dean of Architecture Department in IUSC University. We have Prof. Annette Pogle, also like the Dean of Architecture, like, the Civil Engineering from HCU, and Prof. Bernard Dagloren. I hope I can spell it well. Also like from the Dean of the Faculty of Architecture from HCU, and we have also Jan Krasmanster from Altea. Sorry guys, I mean like if you just like I didn't spell it like well, but I mean also like thank you for all of you. I mean like to attend this final review, and also like please Prof. Karsten, also if you can introduce it more well, also would be pleasure. Thank you all.
Yes, thank you very much, Siwa. I cannot talk as fast as you, but I will try. My main thanks, of course, go to you, Siwa, and Mahmoud as well for bringing this idea to us at HafenCity University to set up kind of a bit last minute this beautiful summer school, majorly dealing with it and with all the concepts, and running this course so successfully at really a very high level. The students have had a lot of different sections to work on, a lot of stuff to research, a lot of stuff to present, and from my impression this was all at a very high level, and they never lost the motivation to keep things running, and I think that's mainly thanks to you and your perfect organization. Maybe a short word on the two, let's say, guests that are with us on that final jury today. This is Annette Bögle, Professor Annette Bögle from HafenCity University, who's a professor for analysis of structures and structural design. So she's a civil engineer, but she's teaching the civil engineers not only to calculate, but how to actually design smart structures. So we have a very good interface between us and our discipline. And Annette, at the same time, she's not only guest, she's also kind of initiator of this course, or let's say a great supporter of this course. She was quite occupied during the semester, but she fully supported it and made it possible that we can run this or could run this summer school. And currently she is also vice president for research here at HafenCity University. So welcome, Annette Bögle. I think she has to leave again in like 15 to 20 minutes, so maybe she can join during the first presentation. And our other guest today, Bernd Dahlgrün, who is professor for building construction. At the same time, he's the dean of our study program of architecture at HafenCity University. He is an architect, he's been construction manager, he's a very hands-on guy and an expert of building construction, of course, and it was also thanks to Bernd that we could make this summer school possible at quite short notice. Yes, so I'm very eager and keen to see the results from our students. So this is my part of the introduction, and I will give it back to you actually, Siwa, for the next points. Or
thank you very much, Emil. Like, and thank you also, like here, Dr. Okba, it's existing, and Dr. Moffa, it's here, and Dr. Rafa, it's here. Thank you very much also for like to be there also with us, and also we will like join also like your opinion also with us. Do you hear me? No? Yeah. Yeah.
Just go ahead.
Yeah. My sound is well or no?
Very
Perfect.
good. Perfect.
Ah, okay, good. Yeah, I thought,
Okay.
okay. So I mean, like, as also like what, like, thank you for our guest. I mean, so like we would start. I mean, like the project. I mean, it's about, like, as I explained in the brief, it's about to have a special intervention. So like we would start. I mean, like with we have like 4 groups. Each group, like, we had like a different research, but in the end, like we had like one area to study to apply the system which we studied through this course. So we have the area for sure. I mean, like our guests, like most of them, they know the area. It's called Zabadani. It's a suburban in Damascus. It's had destroyed through the war, and like we took this area as a case study for us. I mean, like to apply our study there. So I mean, like our student will start, like the first group to start like to talking about the site analysis to the area and the research which they did, and like everyone like have a different prototype and different typology of their like his study. So thank you very much again, and we would start, I mean, like with the first group. Let me just share the screen also. Yeah. First group would be Ara, Zena, Anna, and Sophia.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes, thank you. In advance, I hope there's not much background noise because I'm in a parking lot. I'm doing my internship and I'm on my break right now. So,
Yeah, it would be nice of each one, like also like if it just introduce itself before to start. I mean, and that's also, you can see all the like the sharing screen, no?
You can see it.
Yes, yes, we can see.
Thank you.
Yes. Hello, my name is Sarah Faron. I'm an architect. I'm graduated from International University for Science and Technology in Damascus, Syria, and recently working with Reparametrize Foundation. Would you like to introduce yourself?
yeah, Sophie.
Go ahead.
Yeah, okay. So my name is Sophie. I'm a second-year architecture student. Still in my bachelor's. I don't have my bachelor's degree yet. Yeah.
Yeah, my name is Anne Ortman. I'm also an architecture student. I'm in my 6th semester right now, and I'm also studying at the HCU.
For everyone who is not
Hello,
echo.
I'm an architect graduated from Damascus University.
Okay, so we will start with a very quick brief of the phases that we've been through in this course to make it clear how did we reach to this result. At first we did a research. We were divided into like 4 groups. Each group took an aspect in the research phase, the post-war urban development, the post-war social structure, the history, and post-war architectural state, and post-war adaptivity. So we were divided in 4 groups, and also for the material development, we studied the Rubble and high technology materials for structure, for cladding and filling the gaps, and also traditional materials for structure and cladding and filling the gaps. So here we, when we now we reach the design phase, we choose a location which is very important in an area in suburban of Damascus called the Zabadani Valley. It's an popular area in Syria. A lot of families used to have like their vacations there, and it's a popular place to go. And also we choose the site. It's Zabadani. It's called Zabadani Festival Land. It was before war. We will just let you know how it was before. And yes, it's a quick review of Zabadani. It's a part of a region which contains many villages there in Syria. And also for the weather, it's Mediterranean, and it's also we have rainfall, in very good percentages in the winter, and also it's located in South Basin, which is make it a cold, kind of cold area. And this is a field study, if you want to say, about our location, since this land is located in a central part of Al-Zabadani. So before war, it was like specified for festivals, parties, concerts, and also like temporary exhibitions and centers. So here the site, it contains many activities, which is now in a very bad condition, as you can see in the pictures that we took in our field study there. The area of the land is 12,000 square meters, and it's here from the main street to the Damascus, and here also a main sub-street. Before war, it used to have many activities, such as an open-air theater, a festival place, which is now empty, and also an amenities place, and also market and cafe, which was built recently by the UN, but it was destructed during the war. And also the area which is surrounding is a residential area, and here we have a government building, here we have a bank and a commercial. The rest of the area is residential. Some basic sun analyzers and wind analyzers for the land. Based on this study, the sun analyzers, we found that we have like 4 ways of thinking, but in one system that we want to serve this area. We want to give a new product for it, for the residents. So we want to place them in a good modular grid, so we can take the most of the sun, and the wind also benefit from it. So we choose a 45-degree grid. So each group now will explain about their own idea of prototyping, but this is how we are seeing our prototypes on the site, and this is how we make our main entrances. Since here we have this structure that I talked about, which is in a bad condition, but it's also the way of entrance from the main street, so we make it as a main access for us, and also the main entrance we just keep it as it is. We have 4 different prototypes, 4 different ways of thinking, but unified in one system, which is giving a new experience for the inhabitants of this area, and make them invest and socialize and play, and give them a new functions. Each group will explain about it separately. So we have our project, which is Vitality Social Park. We have the Inside Out project, we have the processual scaffolding system, and we have the concrete system. These are the visual connections between them. So starting with our social vitality park, our approach, we will be taking this area, since we are focusing on social interaction, and also workshops for women and children, and also places to farming approach, since this area was also famous for farming vegetables and fruit. Okay, so we'll just be going with you a little bit about our research about the social structure in a post-war in general, and then we will go specifying to our project. So Zaina, please go ahead with this one. Zaina, is she here?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay.
Okay. Our interest, our vision was reimagining the destructed building as solid endpoints, and generate the new ideas and function to fill them regarding to the material usage, and empower the awareness of responsibility. We wanted to focus on the creation of common areas for people to get together and use to use the local material. respect the culture identity through the continuity of local and traditional solution. Okay, why would for the next, I will say next, Syria. Syria, can you move? Okay. For the social aspect, post-war community, we started by studying the Syrian family structure post-war. Okay, and what happened was that women are now the decision makers in almost 1 on 3 households, and the children are displaced from their school. That's why we found that we need to help people to help themselves, especially women, and combine the effort, because combined effort, just a second, leads to better results. For the Al-Zabadani area, when we visit Al-Zabadani, we find that the local adapting to the situation. Okay, first the population. Pre-war population in 206, the population was 29,000. In winter, it was 80,000. In summer, 100,000. In Germany, it reached 500,000, including visitor, because it was a famous point for tourists. Post-war population, 35,000 person that is registered in the government, 5,000 families that come after the war, approximately 60% from the local families. The schools, there was 30 schools. Now there's only 6 after the rehabilitation. The opportunity that was famous point of attraction for Arabian tourists, also for the local tourists. The strength point of the land is that the area is famous for agriculture. The weakness point is the area, the reconstruction, which leads to bad streets, etc. The streets are the source of the energy and the huge amount of rebels and the families that are displaced. For the next, please. Sarah. Can you hear me?
Maybe the internet is very slow. Then
okay.
Yes, then it will appear.
Like what I said before, when we visit the Zabadani, we find the locals adapting to the situation, like their homes, they started to rebuilding it, and also the natures adapt and always find a way to regrow by itself. That's why that's inspired us to help it to regrow faster by filling the gap with the maybe vertical gardens. Okay, for the next. Okay, that's not it. Okay, the section through the lands show us the lower point on the land, which we invest to make an open theater for the festival plaza, or where people can interact with each other. For the next. Okay, sorry.
Okay, so we will be now moving to the next explanation of our experiments on the material. Actually, we studied materials out of rubbles. We went to a destructed place in Damascus and collected the rubble, and added to it cement, and also added different sizes of rubbles. And also we added a new high quality material, if you want to name it, as the perlite. It has also the thermal insulation, and it also gives a new alternatives and for the material that we are developing. So we went through many experiments, and also Sophie and Annie in Germany, they tried to make their their bricks, but without the perlite. Here we are trying it with the perlite. So in general, the result of our experiment was light bricks made of completely out of rubble, and it uses a big amount of rubble, so we can use it as a good thing that we are using so much rubble. And the cost of our a wall, which is like 3 by 3 meters, and it's 3 meters high also. We calculated as if when take the ingredients from local places here in Damascus, it will cost us around $25, which is not considered as much. So for how we applied our material, explaining the structural approach of all.
Yeah. So as Zara and Zainab said before, we focused on some main points in our structural approach. First of all, we focused on this, as they said, the situation in Syria. Of course, there was the war, or there is still some like destruction going on in some parts, and the destruction is taking place like the houses are most of the time completely, but sometimes also partly destroyed. And there's a lot of poverty, so you cannot like build something that's like quite expensive, and this results in a lot of loss of homes and a loss of skilled workers. So many unskilled people need now homes, and they don't have like much money for it, or the know-how, or like the machines. So Sarah, next slide, please. Sarah? Thank you. What we wanted was a DIY approach, like a do-it-yourself. So everybody could do it, even unskilled people, which haven't been like on a construction site at all at any time. And it should also work as a modular system, so people could easily like carry things around, and there was no heavy machinery needed for it. And it also should be dismountable and a recyclable structure. So after constructing it, one should be able to take it down and use it in another place in another time. And it also should work as a multifunctional system. So our structure should work for residency and other things, like maybe an educational center. And also the main part, which Sarah already talked a little bit about, was the recycling the rubble, because there was so much of it in the city, and one could use that as a good resource for construction material, but also clean up the city. So the rubble just like goes right back into a building and not just got carried away and then be used somewhere else in the world. And it should also work as a long-lasting solution. So Sophie will take on from here. Sarah, next slide, please. Thank you. Sarah?
I think it takes some time. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So what we came up, first we developed a system that would mostly work on buildings that were still partially there. So where there were still floors that we could attach new columns to. But later we sort of further developed our system so that it could also be built into completely new structures. And our system consists of interlocking bricks. As you can see here in the top, we have some further 3D images later. And they're made of rubble, as Anna said, and also cement, so they don't need to be burned, and perlite. And the perlite we mostly use as a bit of insulation within the bricks. It might sound strange for someone from Germany that we plan a building without like a proper insulation layer, but in Syria it's actually pretty common. And also and later there could be insulation added either on the inside or the outside to the structure. So there's room for that. And our bricks, they are not just interlocking, but also they get pre-stressed with steel rods that are tight through them at all the four corners with nuts. And then when we have these columns, they're set up on a 4x4 grid, which we will also get in a bit more later. And then within these, within this 4x4 grid, there's fields basically that are created in the middle, and these fields can then be filled with different types of facades. Yeah, and all of it can be taken apart. So the interlocking bricks can be taken apart when the steel rods are removed. And it's a very flexible system that we came up with. Next slide, please.
Sarah? Thank you. Yeah, as Sophie said, there are these pre-stressed elements, as you can see there. So it means like the whole thing is dismountable, the columns and also the beams. And we actually had the idea, or like the first like idea from
أنا بس عندي meeting بالزوم روحي.
Excuse me, somebody is still on the microphone. Could you please turn it off? Okay, we had the idea from a company which was called the Mobile Factory, which also had the same idea. They are putting the machinery of their recycling factory into 2 shipping containers, so they are able to be shipped around the world, and so one can use them actually on site. They used it. It's actually a Dutch company. They used it for destructed homes in Haiti. But we thought we could use the same approach, where you just like get the factory right to Syria and do the on-site recycling process. And the 4x4 grid we came up with because there actually comes up out a room out of 16 square meters. And this could be used as a good like room for like sleeping or like meeting, and even in like 4 16 square meter units, you can use it as a good like common room with just one column in the middle of it. So that's just like the general approach.
Yeah, so as we see here, we made a little section, and we have the columns on each side, and then we have the facade element, which can be, there can be a great variety in the facade. So either we thought of a completely closed facade, or putting windows in, or maybe even like small gaps. And then we have above the columns, we have the beams that you see here on the left and right, and then a vaulted roof, which we will see more of, and then on the next page. And below the vaulted roof, there's a little gap that is created there. Yeah, no, can you go back, please? Sarah, can you go one slide back? Is that possible? Oh yeah, thanks. And so below the roof, there's this little gap, and it's very useful in the summer because it gets very hot. It can be used for cross ventilation. Yeah, and this little gap was created because we have two levels of beams, which we see. Yeah, now you can go further, please. Yeah, so the basis of our whole structure are these bricks that I've talked about earlier. So we have the interlocking bricks are 40 by 40 by 20 centimeters, and then they have this interlocking part in the middle and also a hole, which makes it so they're not quite as heavy. They interlock better, and also for structural purposes, it is good if the weight is on the outside and not so much on the inside. And there's nothing that we need in there, so we thought it'd be good if we leave it whole. And then you see the 4 steel rods, which are then pre-stressed, yeah, and work as a connection. Yeah, and we have, so these bricks are made into columns, as we see on the bottom. On top, we have concrete plates, which we use to hold the beams in place. The beams are also made from interlocking bricks and also pre-stressed. And then on top of the first layer of beams, we need a second layer of beams. And on top of that, there's a vaulted ceiling. And the ceiling also consists of very small pods because we wanted not just the columns and the beams to be dismountable and also very light and easy to handle and not require big machinery, but we wanted the same thing for the ceiling as well. That's why we have very small little roof pods. And we stuck to only one story. Potentially there could be a second added, but we weren't able to do a lot of testing, so we decided it would be better if we stick to a one-story building. And then these 4x4 structures are created, which then can be obviously put together to create larger structures, not just in a square, but also various shapes. Yeah. Sarah, can you go to the next slide, please?
Yes, we'll try to be quick. We have this our unit typology out of the structural approach that we were explaining. The first unit is a workshop, and also we can consider it as a learning center, or a classroom. And we try to make some gaps in the structure and adding new colors using these wooden frames. And also the second one is the farming or vegetation unit. We are using vertical planting, relying on hydroponics techniques, which is reducing the water used for farming, and also using the same technique here in these basins. And this is an open unit, which is also can be like put some new activity in here. And also down there with the alternating bricks unit, it's for exhibitions and multiple activities, and also a rest area and a social meeting area, protecting from the sun and so. For our prototype, we are trying to create a social experience for people. We have these three types of units, which are alternating, if you want to say, and we are trying to create a social and activity zones for kids, and also using these farming or vegetation units at the place of the farming. And also, as we make a small workshop with children, we ask them what they want to have and what they are their dreams of the post-war. And they say they want an open spaces to play with, and they drew some beautiful sketches here that we tried to benefit from in our design. Some our design, how it will look like. Just we are done. Thank you so much.
Great work.
All right, thank you very much. I was looking for Ziwa, but he's not here. So yes, here it is. Here it is. Let's give our guests the word for questions and comments. Huh?
Yep, would be also good. Yeah. So we have here like Dr. Rafe also.
Who from our guests would like to start? We have Professor Fakush, Professor Haki.
Dr. Rafe is with Ziwa also.
Yeah, I can start if you'd like me to.
Absolutely.
Thank you very much for having me here. It's really a pleasure, very educational. I'm very happy to see students from both countries working on something which might be very useful for the future of a country which is almost completely destructive. I'm very happy with the approach. I'm happy with the idea of developing the material, which is, as far as I could understand, which is constructed or built out of the rubbles and treated so that it became sort of a new type of a brick, which we can formulate different shapes of it. We were able, I hope I understood it well, but they were able to build the columns with it, the beams, and even the roofing. So this is unique by itself as an idea, which could be very useful, especially that if I could hear some pricing, which Sarah talked about, the pricing or the cost is minimal compared with other possible options which we may have. The beauty of it also is that it is very simple to construct. So maybe we do not need very high, very sophisticated type of laborers to do it. Maybe students can do it, maybe residents can do it, I mean, use it, build it. And that is a very important thing. The more we can do without depending on agencies or government or whatever type of support, the more we can do it by ourselves, the better it is. There is a similarity in the shape of the material with regular bricks. That is good, because you're saying that here it is, the material which you're familiar with. In terms of shape, we are building a new type of material that can give you similar feeling of the material, I mean, but it's different. Apparently, we can build with the material structures that are squarish in form. I did not see any trials forming different forms with it. Whenever I have to stop, please let me know. But the square and the rectangular shape is the shape to go with, especially in our cases, for many reasons. One of them is simplicity, possibility to connect and relate, the possibility to use in different forms, different functions. So all that together was very exciting for me. The part which I felt needed a little bit more of work is perhaps how these units, I was happy to see how they were able to apply the material into three different functions, units, and I know that they can do more with it. What I think is a bit missing is the connection between this new type of building, using this new material with the site itself. I think these are two different problems, and I don't see the reason for them to connect this with that. I personally would have taken this material and this type of construction and showed the possibility of putting it in Zabadani and then perhaps putting it in Qasyun in Damascus, and maybe putting it in different locations in Syria, because in terms of weather, the weather is not very severely different from one area to the other. They are talking about some sort of insulation. Did you not? Yeah.
No.
Right. So we have this. Yeah. So we have the insulation. I think the connection with that particular site was not successful, but I think it was not even needed. You see what I'm trying to say? I think it is more powerful if you can say that this is a material that you can go ahead and use it in different locations. We are not limited to this, because yes, you took it from the rubbles of the area, but there are rubbles all over the place. So you can do it all over the place. That was the point. Site analysis was not done with a lot of details. And again, I would say it was not even important to the study because the study was related to the material and how you can build with it. So with that, I leave the ground. I'm very happy with the presentation. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
So would you like Bernd to say something?
Well, yes. So if there's usually the constructive guys are always the last ones, because we got this very detailed kind of approach. Well, I'm pretty impressed about the deepness of your conceptual approach. So you have really you've been doing analysis of the site. You even found a company who is doing the shredding machine, this rubber upcycling, and you even got the size of the machines, and you know that they fix into containers. So I was very impressed about this detailed approach, and of course, as being responsible for construction issues, I got really interested in the brick you have been inventing. So I said, oh, cool, great, they invented a new brick. This is my playground. Very good. And I would have liked to know how it works. I believe you it works, absolutely, because obviously you did everything very carefully. But I would have really liked to see how it works and how you can do beams with bricks, pre-stressed bricks, how it works. So, I mean, I think this is the essential of your work. You say, okay, I'm giving a tool that so people can build various kind of shelters on site by themselves. So the brick becomes pretty important. So maybe when you come back to university, you explain me a little bit more about that famous brick that could be employed.
Come on, Anne and Sophie, tell him, how does it work?
Okay.
Convince him in 1 minute.
We have to definitely put some more work into it, but the thing is that the beams are interlocking too, like the ones that are used in the columns. And then what's also very important is that we have, so in our case, we did two, what is it called? We did two steel rods on the top, basically on the top half, and then at least 4 on the bottom half. So we have the tension that is a lot bigger on the bottom half, better, what's it called? Yeah, addressed.
Yeah. Better working.
But, okay, but these beams are they produced inside or on the construction side?
No, on site.
On site.
Yeah.
Okay, so usually people can do beams.
Yeah, so they just have to do they have to do a scaffolding, and then they do the beams up on the where they should be with the scaffolding, because one brick is still pretty heavy. So the idea is that you pre-stress it in the construction process, and that people are able to do beams really just like we said. You could do it with 5 people maybe, and if you have strong ones, maybe even less. But the ceiling parts are still 100 kilograms heavy. And they're still pretty small, but I mean, we couldn't go smaller with them. So that's the smallest we could get with those. And and the beams are, as Sophie said, working with the tension zone and the pressure zone. So the concrete, it's kind of like a rebar, which you can take out. Yeah.
Okay. So I start to catch it. Wow. Pretty. Okay. Thank you very much. Very good answer.
Stressing is the magic word.
Good afternoon, our friends and our students. Yes.
My phone battery is dying, so I'm off right now. I'm really sorry. I'm looking your feedback up in the recording. I just have like 2% left, so I don't want to be rude. I just like my phone is dying, so I'm really sorry. Yeah, if I'm gone, just ignore it, please.
Okay.
Dr. Mofa,
yes,
we are listening to your feedback.
I am very happy to join with you and with your students and our friends here. And I have 3 points. The project is very nice, and I think it need to develop it by in here the site analysis. It need more study to make this project available here in Syria. And I think because they use these materials and this type of construction, the protection is very important in this project. You see, but protection the roof and the walls and the floors, and it not. I don't see any details about this protection, especially in Zabadani. You know, in the winter is very the weather is very you see the snows and that the first point. Second one is also the infrastructure in this building, the infrastructure, lighting, and the water and drainage, and many things is need to do it by as a professional to do this projects in a good results. And I see the maintenance of this types of building. It need if you see in here in Syria, especially in traditional buildings, the people make maintenance every year to protect these buildings. So also when we thinking about how we can using good materials for protection, maybe it is the projects going in. And the result is very good. Now, in the end, I think the types of construction is very nice, and the modular is very nice also, and I think maybe in the future we can build one of this unit here in Syria to see it with our students, or maybe in the site. Especially, we need now. A new solution for our problems. Thank you for our students and our friends. Okay, thank you.
Perfect. Thank you for for your feedbacks and comments. Maybe we must jump to another presentation. We have. The next group is Katya, Helmut, Subhi, and Abed.
Yes, so
you can share, please.
Our screen.
Keep in mind, you have only 15-20 minutes.
Okay.
You can do it, but
20.
to keep the time to our guests.
Okay.
So go ahead.
Can you see my screen?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, so our project is research in autonomous assembly systems using cane as a building material. Its name is Canecrete. It is a play on the word concrete because we are proposing a system that is as the core of architecture as concrete, not as concrete, but similar to it. So I am Subhi Jabal.
And I am Abdurrahman Al-Farra.
I am Katya Herrera.
And I am Helmut Teuber Alba.
Okay, so our research brief is, the objective of research is to explore autonomous processes in architecture, specifically within the context of rebuilding and repairing destroyed structures. So we are focusing on process design, not only design, process design. We explored material and geometrical and fabrication constraints to build one-to-one scale prototype. We focused on twofold proposal, twofold. First, introducing more cost-effective and adaptable structures. To achieve that, we introduced on-site distributed assembly systems. And the second thing, we developed a platform that will engage the community in the design, fabrication, and assembly of the building.
And to do this, we've at the very beginning, we've tried to imagine 4 scenes: the history scene for a suburban area in Damascus, the history scene, the pre-war scene, the mid-war scene, and the recoded city, which will solve the three different problems we have in each scene and reflect it back to the future. So at the beginning, as we all know, Damascus is the old inhabited city. So to do this, we've done a research under two folds. The first fold is the history of Damascus itself, and the other one was the history and the timeline of Syria, passing through so many periods, according to the lectures that we've got into the history of Syria in this field by Dr. Mufaq Zghama. At the end, because of the need of the residential units in Damascus, our project aimed to cover the needs of the residential units, as well as to cover any architectural space this community need. So we studied the evolution of Syrian houses, starting from the tent, ending up to the modern villas we've had in the 40s and 60s, which all morphed according to the human needs, to cover the human needs. And this project is supposed to morph to cover the human needs as well.
With regard to the continuing precarious situation of Syria in 2018, about 1.4 million returnees, and 2019 another 250,000 could be recorded. Here, one encounters the extrusive circumstances such as extensive destruction distributed throughout the country, as well as the post-war conditions like lack of housing, infrastructure, and supply. Based on research conducted by the UN, we have listed the most important elements for our analysis here. Firstly, the way in which the destruction is classified, and a tabular summary of the number of destroyed buildings in the significant areas of Syria. The focus here is on Al-Badani, with the amount of 3,364 cases, where also the approach for the project takes place. Here is a detailed summary in the form of agglomerations and agglomeration points of the affected buildings in Al-Badani. As well, here for orientation, we used the UN classification of respective destruction. This heat map helped us to understand and analyze the current situation of the site. More exactly regarded, we have here the exact allocation of the affected buildings represented in the rural region of Damascus, which is listed in destroyed, severe damage, and moderate damage. Again, the focus on Al-Badani with 659 destroyed, 1,251 severe damaged, and 1,454 moderate damaged buildings.
Now for the research context, we studied the conventional construction system that begins with picking the raw material and brought it to the fabric and then transported it to the construction area. But our proposal is simpler. We only need to transport the raw material to the construction area and assemble it in the same place. So to achieve this vision, we need to know what, why, how, and when. The raw material we chose is the reed, also called Arnudo dorax in Latin. This material is a medium-sized bamboo. They have thin walled columns up to 9 meters high with long internodes. The origin of this reed is native from the Old World, from the Iberian Peninsula, used for medicine, horticultural, and cultural purposes. Reed grows abundant in the rivers, lakes, and also in humid places. This material is very popular in Syria and all around, and is similar to the population. It gives them actually an identity, and is there used for craft and furniture, and now for the construction. This material has a good environmental impact. The reed usually grows quickly and does not need special caring to be produced. The reed helps also to prevent erosion, soil erosion, and it also reduces the temperatures in the place. Reed are great construction materials for structures, especially in seismic areas. While using this material will help us to minimize the use of natural resources such as water and wood and some others. The economic impact of this material, in this case reed, can give us a chance to create a local industry that benefits directly the communities. The reed, due to the growth method, is a cheap material and accessible for all public. And also the tools we need there are not expensive and we can find them everywhere.
As we can see, reed has so many architectural uses, such as here you can see it as a cover top, and then you can see it in the next slide as a facade scheme, and you can see it as well as for isolation because it has a good isolation abilities to use so. On the other side, you can see it as a building unit using other materials such as earth, and in similar cultures like in Iraq, we used to see cane built as total communities were built in marches in Iraq out of canes as houses and other things. Our approach is, because of the eco of children, this project aimed to turn this building into an aggregation system. This aggregation system will be imagined by children as a legal system, as a legal game. So we will work on the connection of these children to their environment, to their upcoming city, and to their building process as well, so they can see their building as a game. So the material process here is, first of all, we will use that 2 to 3 meters cane. So we will start by harvesting it and cleaning it from its skin so we can build with it. And then we will let it get its firmness for 24 hours, then cut it into 45 centimeters after classification. The classification will be done on the diameter, on the length, and the workability. Banding and knotting, after we cut it into 45 centimeters, we will band it using we'll band 9 canes using so many techniques, which we will see by the next slides.
So the component design, as Abed mentioned, we have 9 reed elements. We collect them together and we make a building block. So this building block would be represented in our presentation as a cuboid because the processing power of my computer couldn't handle this. So this cuboid is referencing this building block. So those are the dimensions, the connection points, and the connection direction. So the first we explored 3 different processes for the joinery. The first method is we used the rope. So in this first method, there is also 3 ways to use the rope. The clove hitch, as we see here, we put 2 different building blocks on top of each other, perpendicular to each other, and we use the clove hitch to attach them together. Then we use the diagonal lashing, and it's as the same as the one before, but we use it in a diagonal axis. Then the shear lashing, we put 2 building blocks together and we connect them in this way. It's important also to note that these connections also work on to resist the structural loads. So for instance, the last one is shear lashing. So it's from its name, it's resist the shears of the structural loads. So the second method is we use machine drillings to connect the 2 building blocks together using bolts, 20 centimeters bolts. So we connect them in this way. The third one, this is we didn't go into deep, but this is used for bamboo. They use natural fiber to connect bamboo elements together, or FRP sheets to connect them together. And those are the required tools for retreatment.
So for the material, for the cost estimation, we can, as we can see, the reed and the joints. If we can get the reed by 2 different ways. First one is the self-harvesting, which will cost us only labor's hand 4,500 Syrian pound for each labor, and each labor collect approximately 200 reeds, and shipping because it will cost us a car. The car may contain 2,500 reeds, and it will be we will pay 2,000 Syrian pounds. The other solution is to buy the reed from the market. So we will add 6 to 100 for each reed in Syrian pounds, and then the shipping might change according to the destination. And labor fees for cleaning, cutting, and emptying the reed will cost us 5,000 per labor, and it takes 10 minutes of a labor to prepare a block. If we go to the joints, we have two different joinery systems, as Subhi said, that we studied. The first one is the ropes. The rope will cost us 400 Syrian pounds per meter. Each block needs around 4 meters of rope. And the labor fees will be 5,000 Syrian pounds. Each block takes approximately 4 minutes. And the other one is the bolts. The bolts, each bolt, 20 centimeters bolt, is around 170 Syrian pounds. And each block needs five bolts to build. So at our first tries, we've got two approaches. The first one was to fill the cane, but it has so many constraints. As we will talk about it. First of all, we cut the canes into 45 centimeters. We bound it into a building block, and we fill it because we want to test if it will change any of the compression compression strength of the cane by filling it. But we've got a few problems in the manual filling of the cane, and the final result didn't really change a lot while the cane was empty. So we've tried to get the cane into, let's say, empty canes into our approach, and we've tried to make our own building block to see if it will change, and actually it worked, and we've done a few old-fashioned, let's call it, tests, and it worked as well. As you can see me here standing on a building block by myself, and while it was cantilevering from the wall. Here is an aggregation of 3 building blocks together by ropes, and I was standing on it, and it worked so well.
Okay, so we're gonna talk about the philosophy of the concept. This is on top the image of Greg Lane's NURBS diagram, and the bottom is Daniel Fuller's fragmentation of this curve. So this is exactly where our proposal lies. So we're gonna aggregate, we're gonna collect, as we discuss the reed elements together, and we stack them on top of each other to achieve the aggregation. So this is what the aggregation could look like. So the production process would be, at first we have 3 initial plates. The first plate would be to collect the reed elements. The second one, pre-assembly. Here maybe it's better. So we studied human collaboration. So the human would come and put the reed elements on the first plate, and the second plate to connect the reed elements together to form a building block. The third plate to do the layering of the reed elements to move it finally to the foundation. So here another production process, which is human-robot collaboration. The same production process as before, but with lesser human, and we introduced 2 robotic arms to do the production process, and it's also faster. So this is maybe in the distant future, but robot-robot collaboration with only 1 human controlling the robots with the same process, but it's gonna be much faster, I think. So for the robot, we developed a pick and place method. So first we scan, then we use generative design using evolutionary algorithms to automate robotic pick angle. So here we see different iterations, how the robot is seeing the building block. So after the robot locates the building block, it picks it and put it in place. And then comes the human to make the connections with each of the building blocks.
Exactly. With the development of the innovative prototype, which in principle is not only an area-wide repair measure, but also much more a contributory measure in the supporting structure, we have set ourselves the goal of giving the prototype not only one characteristic side. On the one hand, this construction measure is intended to repair any damage, such as small relevant openings, up to structurally important points. On the other hand, it is intended that it is possible to build pavilions and other buildings from the pure prototype. Next. Here now to our prototype, starting with the foundation. We have decided to use a screw foundation. This way, we basically leave no significant carbon dioxide footprint. Furthermore, we significantly reduce the cost compared to using conventional concrete foundation. In addition, we also save time in production and construction of the foundation, and thus the whole construction itself. The consideration is to use a screw foundation and then the locking of a column base. The main idea is also to use of an elongated box with a length of 2 meters, each supported by 2 screws foundations, in which the canes find support, and thus the transfer of forces takes place via a hinge point. This support foot is designed as a screwable element so that any unevenness is taken into account. On the visualization, you can see how the foundation looks like in section. Of course, the difference in height between the upper edge of the ground and the lower edge of the column foot is included in the design process. We have decided to pour a 5 centimeter high layer gravel sand and to store prefabricated UHPC panels on top of it. This ensures a solid and clean ground surface and can as well absorb any load for the people that are working there. We have also developed an approach for the roofing and its design. A double level is provided here for the construction of the roof. In detail, the construction looks as follows. A supporting level comes first, here the column, and connects with the roof substructure above it. Then a planar surface is laid out, a water-bearing layer to drain off any rainfall and thus act as weather protection. The final layer is a system made of the same material and algorithm. This intercepts the larger dimension and acts as the first filter. The layer below finally drains off the remaining passing water. In the best case, a kind of ventilated roof determination can be constructed here as well. In this way, standing water could be avoided.
The inspiration to create only elements in the site comes from the idea of Mies van der Rohe, characterized by the simplicity of the structural elements and the geometric composition, as well as the creation of spaces with particular qualities. The expansion was created based on a site analysis following the defined 4x4 grid. For the expansion, different aspects were thought, such as the projection of the sun, the direction of the wind, as aspects such as economic and the sustainability part. Our project is sustainable since the prototype can be built and rebuilt and reused in other places. So this system worked to recall the post-war Syria, and we try to apply it also in all Sabatani. Our prototype can be expanded in any ways and in any direction. So we decided to create open and closed spaces with only wall elements. The roof is also following the grid, creating a cover area, but also giving us a chance to create open spaces if we need it. And to put the columns, we followed also the grid 4x4 to making the expansion unified and serve safety for all. The prototype continues with 2 main entrances in both parts of the site, from the north and from the south. 5 different spaces were generated to cover the necessary activities and analyzed to decide which activity will be implemented in each space. So we decided first the reed basket activity in the north patio. This activity also consists with the market there, since children can generate their basket and go buy things that they require at the home. So with this task, children can get familiar with the material we are working on. So this is very important for us. The exhibition area is located in one of the main entrances and has access for all type of public, as well as having a direct connection to the learning area of the system for any question generated there. And it also has an intermediary wall that distributes the space and can be used as a shelf also. We have also the Lego kit area. This space gives children the opportunity to experiment with similar figures that are suitable for learning our system. It is a much more closed space with the proposal to keep the children in the same area. The number 4 is the system learning area. This area is one of the most spacious with great capacity to put robots and furniture that is also created with our prototype. So this area has also a direct connection with the structure already located in the site, so where we can do some experiments. And the number 5 is the playing jar located on the south part of the prototype. This area is more open and it's available for all kids to play with the earth and also have picnic with the family and to just enjoy and have quality time. And this one is our corridor that connects both sizes of the prototype and allows us to get access to all the prototypes without any obstacles.
Okay, so finally, we explored aggregation computation variations in the wall. So here we see different variations of the wall. So on the first line, we can see that if we want to use, if we want to not allow the sunlight to enter, we can use the first variation. And if you want the structure to have more porosity and have more access to sunlight or wind, maybe we can use a different variation. And also we used another aggregation computation for the slab variations. Also, this in the future could act as a structural for structural purposes, and it also has some aesthetical outcomes. So to sum up, this is only a first step in our research, and there is so much room for future development in the material joint aggregation, computational logic, fabrication, assembly, structure, and community involvement. Thank you.
All right, thanks a lot, everyone. Thanks a lot for your good work and your great presentation. So I would also leave the floor for our guests to step in with their comments and questions. Somebody would like to make the start?
Yeah, I can go.
Yes, please, go ahead.
I'm very impressed. I am very impressed with the work. The idea of having the cane and then doing something very unique with it, which is a type of a block that is not typically of its nature, and then reworking this unit into multiple units in a structurally sound way, so that it can carry loads I should say in a creative way, based on the fact that we are creating a dome, but we're not creating a dome. We are creating a vault, but we're not creating the vault. And then working with the idea of Lego in order to create this system of connecting the blocks which you have created. And then the idea of using Mies van der Rohe and the spaces which he created, which are unbelievably creative. I mean, the work of Mies. To choose Mies in particular and work with him is very smart move, especially with the way you wanted to create the spaces using the ability of this new material, which you are, I shouldn't say, new technique of using this material is very, very smart. The idea of using this simple block in different orientations so that it can create different patterns and then it can create different forms. You can use it so that you can fill a gap in a structure which is having a problem, or creating your own new structure is also very, very nice. I'm very impressed with the whole process, with the whole approach, putting different ideas together in order to reach this this composition that is not only structurally possibly sound, because you will know that when you actually experiment with it and build with it, but logically it should work. Logically it should work because it's simple and it is not doing anything beyond the basic structural logic. So it should work. I hope it works. Aesthetically, it is giving you a lot of possibilities, as you have shown us in the last couple of slides. So this is another added value to it. You can block it completely. The cane itself can be used as an, I mean, the installation issue can be solved. It works fine. So you are able to play it at many levels. What I need to tell you though is that it took me a while until I got impressed. I was confused a little bit during your presentation because you worked with issues or talked with issues that are not directly related to your objective, and that leaves us as an audience who are able to hear you for a very short time, and you're under stress and we are unable to hear you very well. I think the selection of your introduction was not very successful. I don't see any need for you to talk about the history of Damascus. I don't see any need for you to talk about the history of the house in Damascus. I didn't see it beneficial to your argument, I should say. So that was not a gray area even, it was a bit dark area for me because I got confused. And then I lost interest. And then when you started talking about the Lego issue and the material itself, and then you went into working with the material in the traditional way. Again, I got kind of not very interested, but it took an effort on my side, and that's not bad. And kind of in the middle of the presentation, and then you were successful in the second part of the presentation when you put things all together. So what I'm saying is that there are certain points in your presentation that you can completely eliminate and not lose anything, but in fact win things by making the audience concentrate more on the meat of the presentation and of what you are doing. The other thing that I would like to mention to you is that I wish you did not depend on computers and robots. I wish we can do it. If you're doing it for Syria, Syria cannot produce robots. Syria will not produce robots for years and years to come. So if you want to give us some sort of independence, please do not send robots to help us. Let the people who are in the place do it. It's great that you are giving them the ideas and the concepts. Again, they say feeding a person is not as good as teaching him how to fish. So that's what we want. That's what we want. So I would take out, again, this is my opinion, throw it away. But I would take out high tech and concentrate on any technique that we can do locally. Otherwise, I'm very happy with what I've seen. Thank you very much.
Yes, all right. Thank you very much for a very helpful comment. So you need to teach the people how to control the robots, actually, at least. But I mean, your project has both aspects, right? You have the choice to use people or to do it in a digitalized way by using the robots. So I think somehow that was the idea to be able to do it low tech and high tech. As well at the same time. Exactly. Yes, very good. Further comments? Bernd, I think, already got ready.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate very much your project, and I follow entirely Professor Zima's critiques that I appreciate very much as well. I think he said nearby everything that I would have said by myself as well. And I was very impressed about all the issues that you got out of that read. I mean, this was pretty impressive, but nevertheless, I still be a little bit confused even on the end of your presentation. And I have to, I still ask, why read? Why? I mean, you know, if I think on reed, it's something long and flexible, and it has certain qualities that we can use in building. And what are you doing? I mean, you take reed for a building that should shelter and protect people. And it's not the material I think first at when I think protection and sheltering. It's combustible, it's burnable. It's not the most solid and most psychologically the safest material. It's far away from that. And on the other hand side, I did not understand why you have been cutting it into bricks. I mean, the material has very other great qualities that are really cut into small qualities when you produce bricks with it. Why didn't you weave buildings? I mean, you know what I mean? It had so many qualities, and I sometimes think that they were taking a material and they made a brick out of it. And this is my confusion that I didn't lose it during your presentation. Can you follow me, or did I express myself?
Actually, we did this so we can like if you take a whole reed element, it can bend. So we don't want the bending. So our approach is to have solid and sound structural elements. So we can stack them on top of each other, so they can form a certain structural, because we are not only thinking in like one-story building. Maybe this approach could be applicable to two-story buildings, three-story buildings in the future. I mean, it's not what we researched now, but in the future, I don't think reed has the ability to go so high in the like if you take reed elements, whole reed elements, it has a really bending
properties.
So this is one of the main aspects why we chose this. Another aspect is like our design approach. So it's like a combination between the two.
And why we choose reed at the very first step? We choose reed because, I mean, reed is available in Syria everywhere. We start at the agricultural areas. I mean, because agricultural areas are the most damaged places in Syria, and they must need to go back. So we start to look to the material which is available in Syria in the agricultural areas and has the structural properties that we need. Plus, it's let's say it's cheap. And on the other hand, farmers doesn't need reed to grow up on their lands, because it takes a lot of water. So it's making like problems for farmers, and they are cutting it off. So we are using it, recycling and reusing it as a structural element by itself.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
It also gives the identity to the people, because we can find it everywhere in Syria, as Ab says. So this will reflect the population in the buildings.
Yeah, I mean, because it's used by craftsmen for the furniture and these things. So when you will use it as a structural element, people will start to see it like it's familiar to their eyes. We are not using a high-tech material which is not familiar to their eyes. We're using something which they deal with it in their everyday life as well.
Okay.
Okay. All right, thank you very much. I think our guests have really raised the points, and you know that at times we were also struggling a bit with your approach and the project. First of all, from my side, I'm super happy to see that you were able actually to solve a lot of problems or to address a lot of problems, because of course the material that reed is so imperfect and inhomogeneous by itself, that it's not easy to convert that into proper bundles, and that's something you really addressed. And in the end, with your approach, you create a lot of effort for something that, let's say, structurally, maybe as the system still is right now, might not make perfect sense. Because Bernd also addressed this, doing the blocks, you kind of load it even in kind of the wrong direction. But I think your approach of thinking of how to interlock these pieces, how to bundle them, how to categorize them, how to kind of interlock them to larger structures, maybe by flipping the direction of how to load it, or maybe by making it also longer pieces, that might solve a lot of problems. So I think it might take another round to even work that over. But I appreciate very much how, let's say, stubborn in a way you were running your approach. And Sophie apparently is, I mean it in a very positive sense if I say you are the nerd who is all the parametric design issues and the digitalization with the robotic arm, and it's a very beautiful idea. So I think as a vision it's just perfect, and structurally it might still need kind of a work over. And then even which step is done by the human and which is done by the robot, the placing by the robot, the tying up by the human, I think it should be the other way around, the complex thing by the robot, according to the way it is loaded and so on. But within the time frame given, a very good work. Thanks a lot. Sorry for stepping in there.
Yeah.
We still also have Jan Grasman store as a guest, right? I don't know if Jan is still here. Maybe not for the moment.
I'm here. Hello.
Hi. You just have to step in.
Yeah, it's okay for me. So if I'm a bit quiet, maybe to explain, I was asked by my colleague Luca and I think Atanas and the organizers from the company to have a look at the presentations. As I wasn't in the process and in the project from the beginning, but I think in the kickoff, my colleague Luca was participating. I was a bit hesitating to give a judgment because I'm really not in the whole task. So I think they all look impressive to me. I probably would have had some similar remarks as you, based on my very little knowledge of the project, to be honest. So that's why I'm a bit quiet and I'm more listening and enjoying the presentations.
Perfect. All right. So just step in if there's any other questions.
I will do so. Yeah. Maybe just yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Thank you.
All right. Then also time-wise, I would say we go on with the next group. Who's the next group?
Carsten, I will have to leave you shortly before 3 o'clock. So, and I do not want to interrupt the next presentation. So I just will be gone. Thank you anyway for.
All right. Thanks a lot for joining, Bernd.
Well, thank you very much for your presentations. Very impressive project.
Thank you for being here with us, Bernd. Okay. See you. All right. The next group will take over.
Anne and two. Ayman.
Let me see. I need to click buttons to share my screen again. So same question as always. Do you see my screen?
Yes.
Okay, cool.
Okay.
So let's start. First introduction, we're Jad, Arne, Tu, and Ayman. And this presentation will lead you through our design process from the early beginnings, from the first slides we ever handed in, to a quick outlook into the future of this. So we start quickly with what we thought we'd do in this course in the beginning.
Yeah. So my version focus on the psychological aspect of the children who lost their home during the war. It should be safe, but also open to encourage their curiosity and support their education, just as play areas and libraries between a lot of vegetation to bring the nature back. The kids should learn and recover in a playful way, and architecture should bring back the joy.
Ayman.
For me, at the beginning, I have no idea. I thought rebuilding process is very easy and just bring some money, rebuild some floors, some columns, plant some trees so people can grow their foods and live happily forever after. But when I started this course and studying the condition of the building and how things works in real life, we knew that rebuilding was not gonna be easy at all. And due to all these challenges we have, and so we thought just at the beginning we need to repair some elements and plant some trees, or maybe we can gather some rubbles and make a new landscape for the or new playgrounds for children.
Okay.
Yes.
Jad is unfortunately not here with us, but as I remember, his idea was pretty similar. He wanted to bring children back into the mix again and back into the building process and the structure itself. So the first part of our presentation, now that the introduction is over, is how we came to the development of our production. We started in Damascus itself. And to give you some frame of reference, we did this picture to highlight the structure that Damascus evolved from. So you can still see the Helian structure that has been filled by the locals, which was for us the first step to see how the locals actually work with what they have. And what they had was the vestiges of an old city, and they worked with it and filled it to their needs and according to their culture, which we took as a main factor and the main parameter of our design. So that was it for the lovely parts, and we went on to the not so lovely parts, which is obviously the war and how it affected the people. And we set out to take the first thing we learned, so people making do, and look at it how people make do with what they have. And the things we found were astonishing. So there was farming in between demolished buildings, schools that got into buses, and rooftop farming and all sorts of things. And we thought to ourselves that if we were to develop something, we would need to come up with something that people can work with and expand on. So a platform for people to build whatever they need and don't come in as architects and tell them what they should need. So from the stuff we had on site and from the things we found, we looked at the buildings and diverted buildings into possible building materials, and picked out rubble as a material and came up with an idea to homogenize the rubble diameters to have a viable building substance through sieving, just a very simple process that can be done manually. And then we scripted spheres and cages to house these rubble blocks according to their size to form building elements. And these will later be formed as walls, as you can see here, and will form the foundations of our build. But since this material is highly unpredictable, we also introduced another substance or another materials, which is scaffolding, to have something that is highly controllable, cost efficient, and reusable to form whatever uses we would need. And Tu is going to elaborate on this now.
Yes, our concept is to promote the old advantage of the city with simple, sustainable, and flexible building system. So we leave the residents the freedom to develop the system further if necessary, or even to dismantle it easily. So we wanted to use a simple connection as possible so that everyone can build it up easily. The residents should participate in the construction to strengthen the social cohesion and support the motivation. So as you can see in the D1, the main connection is a scaffolding rotation coupling. It clamps the two steel tubes together and can be anchored to get into any position, so to a horizontal, vertical, or diagonal position. And our foundation is made of a spindle foot. This compensates for the different floor levels. Then they are fixed between rubbles in a garbing tube. The lower part is filled with smaller granulate and the rest with bigger rubble to hold the horizontal load. Next one, please. So to get to the first floor, a simple ladder is attached to the horizontal tube. To make climbing up easily, a ladder support is attached to anchor the ladder. And on D7, you see the floor construction. The undervoltage pipes are covered with wood to support the underbeams. So the floor construction in plate form is screwed on. The materials we actually left free here, so as long as it have a board format, it's depend which it's easier to get in Syria. On D6 we got gabion walls. It can be raised, which are attached to the scaffolding. The whole system should not only work, it should also look attractive. So the walls can be planted. Bags of planting fleece are filled with earth. They are placed between the hollows of the rubble. Then the plants can climb up between the meshes. Yes, next one, please. For the roof construction, the polycarbonate panels are simply screwed on with pipe clamps, if you can see on the picture underneath. If we required, solar panels can be also installed with clamps and new profiles. Yes, that was.
So Ayman will guide us through the production of one of these cells now.
Yeah, this is the material we want to build one simple prototype. Like we made some instruction books or some instruction information so people can or local can build their unit themselves. We need wooden box and cabin cages, walls, some scaffolding and solar panels if budget canvas and wooden boards. Next one, please. We are working on the same grids, like 4x4 units and 4x4 unit grid. So we have the foundation as cabin cages. Next one. Here is the scaffolding wall, like the main or basic structure system. Next one. Here we put some beams and bracing so we can try to work with vertical load or like horizontal loads. Next one, please. This is the floor, wooden floor. Next one. Okay, this is the whole structure system we need, and we add another floor so we have a storage area for the local. Next one. This is the final product of us. Here we can have farming area in front of the prototype and workshop area and store area there where they can like sell their products and foods, and cabin cages for wall, as I say, scaffolding structure and polycarbonate panels and transparency panels for the walls. Next one. Okay, this is an exploded view for single units. Next one. Here is some more complex units. We add the connection parts and it also create a shading area. Next one. This is the whole progression of building steps, like bring the step, foundation, then scaffolding, beams, and adding wood board for floor, then the final product. Okay, this is our system elements or the parts we need to connect to each other to create our prototypes. Next one.
Yeah, so our idea was to create a function market, a kind of souk for the inhabitants. Since Sabadani are known for the apple and fruit plantation, you can see on the illustration right here. So they can grow and sell in our common vision. On the ground floor, it's the cell function, and on the top, on the upper floor, it could be a storage place. In general, just a commercial function. Our concept should only be a construction guideline for the locals because they know their needs best. They will adopt their needed function into our system anyway. So.
Okay, and because the locals know what's best, we integrated this in our design process, and we thought about how to implement this. So we have several steps. These steps consist of prototyping or design, which we do now. We are actually in phase 0, but phase 1 to build something and bring something on the ground would be to evaluate cost and to split workloads between Al Jazeera University and HCU. So our idea is to implement a step system to actually interlock these university with the locals to build something and to guide them in building processes depending on what they need, because the scaffolding system itself is adaptable and reusable, so they can build whatever they want according to their needs. Ayman will quickly go over the site again.
Okay, here's our site. We have like almost empty area. We have only the open theater and some cafe there. We have some tall buildings around the location and some like government building. And there is a new area created by the UN, and it will also be like local shops there. And that's
okay. So with this site, we can do a procedural process of building in which we come in as architects and develop a cell that is maybe 1 by 4 or 1 by 2 or 1 by 1 wide, and develop from this point on. But the bottleneck is the financing. So the first part should be a very small structure that we can work on with the locals in order to share our knowledge and to teach them how to build. In later processes, these builds can expand and adapt to the needs. So the structures are going to be shown later, but there's viable options for different uses. So according to the finance we calculated with international prices. Oh, that's 2, right? Sorry.
You can go on.
No,
yeah, so we have prepared a cost estimation for one module, one prototype. The individual length and amount of the material are listed here, right here. Mostly likely it will cost under 1,600 since we have assumed international costs, as Anna said already, and not Syrian prices, which are probably a bit cheaper. So we reckon it's going to be lower than 1,000 euros.
Okay. Here's something which will work with the financing. So our idea is to split the process into 2 teams, a German team and a Syrian team. So we have the advantage of maybe getting funding in Germany, which will bring you a very long way in Syria. And with simple steps, we can build a prototype in Hamburg, test it for loads and for use, and give a feedback loop to Syria, see if certain uses will work or if certain weather situations induce problems. And after the prototype is done, it can be shipped to Syria, it can be built in Syria, and feedback can be sent to Germany again to do additional testing. And in the later stages, the locals will take over this process and will only be guided by us. So we tell them, if you want a very spectacular roof, you need to build it this way. But first, focus on the simple things. Yeah, and the build scales with whatever the people need. And the idea is that in the end, you get something really big and you feedback your process into a different system in which people can then multiply what they've learned in order to build something similar in a different place. And in the end, we will run through some possible structures that we came up with using our system.
Okay, it's also depend on the cost and budget. We have several proposals like simple unit or simple box to have. Next slide, please. Okay, here's if we connect two parts together, so we have like a greenhouse, and we have some transparency panels or transparent panels on it. Next slide. This is a smaller one, depends on budget. If only we connect the second part of our proposal, like the second roof, if we connect it together, so we have something like a greenhouse. Next one. This is our proposal for local shops or one store or workshop, and the second floor is for storage. Next one. This is our largest larger proposal where we have something like traditional local shops and souks. And next one. And this is if we add the connection part or the shading part to connect several parts together. So we have something like hangars where people can grow their foods, their planting, and sell it in their place. Okay, that's it.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
All right, thank you very much, the four of you. So thank you very much. Very good presentation. I'm looking forward to hearing the comments of Professor Haki again, if you want to.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. I liked, in particular, the elevation, which the model in which the nice facade, which we can see part of it, I mean, something similar to it in this now present slide. I think the simple structure of the scaffolding with the bricks, the blocks which they created with the stone and the bars is a nice combination by itself. And then they added at certain points glass facades, so the combination became very exciting. I was a bit disappointed when later in the presentation it was noted that the upper floor is for storage. Disappointed from an architectural point of view only, from the fact that I like the elevation, I like the glass in the upper floor, and then kind of shops in the ground floor, and then the ladder which is leading upstairs. This combination of elements together gave me the impression of something that can be nice for children, perhaps. An element which was initially part of their game, as I understand, that they talked to children and they wanted to know what children would like to have. So the feeling of the place gave me a feeling of youth, young, not childish, but active. So I was excited about that. The structure or the structural system is I couldn't see it as creative as the first two presentations which we've seen, unless I did not understand what the deal is. But the beauty of it is the way they put it together. So I didn't see something new in the blocks and the scaffolding, but separately, but I saw something interesting in the way they put them together, so they were able to come up with interesting pieces of architecture that from the first glance, if I compare the three projects together, and I think I should, or at least I have the right to do that, architecturally, this is more interesting in terms of playing with form and material. But if the objective of this project is to create or to develop a new technique of construction that suits here. I think it works. I think it works, but I didn't feel that it was as creative and as new as the first couple of presentations. And I'm worried if I did not understand it well. So that is something that you can respond to me about it. But I liked the feeling of being able to create different possibilities with the basic grid which you have. You can combine and connect and relate the different or the same element so that you can create so many different possibilities with it in an interesting way. The presentation was, to me, more direct. Again, I'm saying something confusing now because I felt that it is direct and clear, but then I'm saying at the same time, did I understand what you're presenting in terms of technical stuff? But I felt that it was well organized in terms of presenting the technique and the material and the construction detailing, and then how you are putting the details together and how you are putting the elements together. And then you gave us a couple of possibilities of how this method of building can produce different structures for different functions. So that was very interesting to see and very helpful to read a systematic way of developing the whole project. So thank you very much.
All right, thank you very much, Professor, for your comment. Do you want to reply to that directly? Was that two?
Oh, yeah, I don't know.
Yeah. I wanted.
All right, go ahead.
Okay. I mean, for the function of the upper floor, I think it depends on the function of the whole project. Like if we have something for housing, the upper floor is something like another room for them. And if we have something like local shops or so, we have like storage. So the upper roof function or the upper floor function, it depends on the whole project function. This is what I want to say.
Yeah. Can I add to that?
So have the best choose whatever we want for the upper roof. Yeah.
And we also try. Yes, we also try to use as little material as possible because we wanted to embody as little energy as possible and therefore keeping the cost as low as possible, because our approach was the bottleneck approach. So we looked at the situation and we looked at what we can do as architects and what we can build next year, because that is probably the time frame in which we thought that this is needed. And so it's much more about being able to deploy something really quickly to help, that something that is better than a tent, but as cheap as a tent and flexible, and getting the locals into the habit of building themselves, not to come in as an architect and tell everyone what they should do because they normally know best.
All right, thank you very much for your answers. I mean, Professor Haki somehow addressed one thing that, of course, is true, that the other groups were a bit more visionary, maybe in terms of developing new materials, and the material was kind of guiding the architecture. That, of course, if one wants to realize it, as Arne just mentioned, becomes a bit tricky somehow within a short given time. But of course, that has an own strength to show and demonstrate the material. At the same time, it's kind of a vision. And you, with your project, have absolutely demonstrated the feasibility and the proof of concept. And you have the gabion system in there as your material that you use. that is maybe not the main structural element, but for the main structural element, you kind of play safe and you use a scaffolding that, of course, structurally works. However, if things need to be modified, they can be modified, and that, of course, can be kept in a cycling system. So, in that, of course, is a real strength. Another strength is your way to present it, and the graphic representation of your work, which is at a very good and high level to bring it to the point very logically. And the cost estimation is an interesting one, cost-wise. I mean, it's pretty affordable. On what did you actually base your calculation concerning the scaffolding? What kind of scaffolding system is that? Did you look into a scaffolding system that is widely available in Syria, or is it something that would need to be imported?
That is a good question. Jad is not here. Ayman, do you know where Jad is?
Yeah, I know.
Oh, no,
I think he was looking on something we can buy it online. It's something global, I mean.
Okay.
Just an estimation.
Yeah, sure. Of course, one can look into systems that really are available in Syria. So you would kind of, with your system, the gabion cages, the filling material, the scaffolding, you would have your shelf, and it would almost be like IKEA. I mean, for the people that you really also involve in your design, you teach the people, people who teach other people, get known to the principle, and actually can do their own designs. In the end, you could even have like a little app or something that you can construct your unit to your needs. First floor doesn't need to be storage, can have other functions, and you can click in your parts and components, and then you like go to the shelves and you pick the right items. So I think that's a very good project within the given frame. The only point that I also had as a question here on my list was thermal. Yes, let's say the building skin, thermal properties of the building skin. That, of course, the structures look very open, and one would have to find some ways to thermally protect the people living inside. But I think that's somehow still feasible. You can still add on. All right, good. Are there any other questions or comments?
I did not mean in any way to devalue the effort at all. All that I'm saying is that there is a different approach here. The approach is that here we have simple way of building things, and hopefully because I was just told that the stuff is available here in Syria. We have very simple thing available, cost effective, hopefully, and we can come up with very interesting architectural solutions for different functions. And that is a different approach from the other two projects. So this is very exciting also, that you can do that. This is very exciting. That's why, again, I have a point about the overall skin, that you need to work on how you are going to connect the different surfaces so that we can, because the sketches which you are providing do not address that in details, which is understandable. But if everything is available here, why are we building it in Hamburg? Where are we building the model next year?
We're building the model next year in Hamburg.
So building it in Hamburg only for the experience of having students in 2 different countries, not because we cannot do it here, right?
Exactly, and because we have a lot of scaffolding manufacturers here around. So we may be able to get in some sponsorship to get the materials for free, work on them, see if they work, and then ship them off to Syria.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, thank you very much. Good job.
Thank you. We also want to build something here, you know.
yeah, definitely.
Okay, very good. Thank you very much for your presentation. Thank you for your comments. And let us move on, last but not least, to the final group. 4 of you.
Cool, Jana and Lynn.
Jana and her team.
Hang on just a second. Can everyone see the screen? Is it working?
Yes, it is.
Perfect.
Okay. So yeah, just to introduce ourselves. That's Jana and I'm Lynn. Are you guys going to introduce yourselves as well? We're studying in Hamburg at the HCU, and we're in the 6th semester, both of us.
Yes, hi, my name is Abdurrahman Daboul, and I'm 4th year student in Damascus University.
And I'm Mulham Kharbouti, studying master degree in theory and history of architecture.
Okay, so to start our presentation, we decided to make a timeline to show our way from our first vision to the final design, and to show which aspects actually impacted our design. Yeah, so coming to the first vision that we had, we wanted to design workshop areas throughout the city, to have like small areas where kids could come to learn or interact with other kids and play. But I'm going to explain that a little bit later. So the first phase was the research phase, where we spoke about our first idea and the vision. After that, we had a case study, where we focused on Beirut, and afterwards we analyzed the post-war situation in Damascus. Yeah, our idea was to, as I said, have workshop areas spread it in the city and to have a recognizable design, so kids would come there and actually know that there is an area where they can feel safe and where they can interact with other people, and to actually remember these places. And also we wanted to design a building or buildings that have a special atmosphere where kids feel safe. Coming to the case study now on Beirut, which was very important here, was that the city and also the inhabitants were quite separated into 2 parts, and that was like this, as you can see in the bottom, the green lane. So it was called the no man's land, where nobody would actually go, the green area. And within the reconstruction phase, they mainly focused on the central business district. But we then thought, okay, for us it's important to have small interventions and to use this green space that in Beirut was the no man's land, but we wanted to use it as like a green community space. The post-war situation, which what we thought was interesting here, was the loss of nature, because most of the trees were actually cut off during the war, and also the usage of power and also the connection to nature through the loss of the infrastructure of the power. So they had to build water wheels to self-supply themselves with power and so on. So we thought, okay, we want to get that connection to nature and to implement it into our design. In the second phase, we then focused on materials, starting with the topic of filling gaps and cladding. And here you can see the different types of fillings that we had a look at. And in the next step, we wanted to find a material that actually could fill all of these different situations. So you could do a solid filling, but also do cladding on facades. And we wanted to see how you can get light, but and also air in the buildings, and how to work with the privacy. So we then thought of clay as it's a local and easy accessible material, and has a very long and traditional history in Syria, and it's a material that you don't have to transport, because you can extrude it from the side, so you actually have a high cost efficiency. And the properties of clay are very interesting, because you have a very high thermal insulation and therefore a consistent temperature in the buildings. So in the next step, we wanted to create our own material. And our first impression with clay was, okay, what happens if we just stick a glass bottle through a wall of clay? Because then you could get some extra light in the building and have a special atmosphere in there. And then during the process, we realized that with glass, you could also have the opportunity to get a very individual design for your building, because you can include it as like smaller pieces in either rammed earth, clay bricks, or even you can use it as a mixture with clay as a plaster. So later in the phase, we started to build our own clay bricks with a very low-tech approach and very basic tools to just see how clay and glass actually work together and what opportunities you have with them. So in this case, for example, we just mixed clay and glass pieces together. But as you can see on the right, it didn't work quite well because the pieces were too big, so parts broke off and stuff. Then the next approach was to have like a tube of glass in the middle of the brick to get the light through in the building. But unfortunately here, the stability of the brick wasn't good enough because the glass took quite a big room, and yeah, so the brick lost stability. So our result, so the next approach and our result was to build a brick where you layer clay and then glass tiles that are actually sticking through the entire brick. So you get the light coming through the clay. And as you can see on the bottom left, you get a very special effect, and that makes a special and emotional atmosphere, which then affected our design later on. In the third phase, we then had a look at Zabadani, the surrounding area and the site, but we're going to explain more to the site later on. So what we thought was interesting in the surrounding area was that Zabadani is very close to the mountains. So you have that connection to nature and a lot of nature-like shapes in the surrounding areas. So we thought, okay, maybe it's an opportunity to get inspired by that shapes. And also we got inspired by the huge scale of the stone bricks that the people used in the buildings in the surrounding areas. The last phase was the design phase, where we worked mainly on the form, and we included the kids' drawings that we analyzed. Working on the form, we wanted to create shapes according to age and movement of the kids. So we wanted to have a human scale. That's why we decided to make round or organic shapes, yeah. And then generated different forms according to different people that would actually use the room. And in the next steps, we started to put these rooms or spaces that we created together to see how they interact and how we can design or create interesting rooms with them. And in the last step, we included the kids' opinion. So we asked them, what do you think would be interesting to have on the site, or what would you like to have, or what sort of usage would you wish for? And most of the kids made drawings where they had either like a lot of companies or playing with other kids or getting together, having a resting, like a room to rest with other kids, or outside play space connected with nature. So we thought we want to create a space for kids where they can have fun and play outside, get together, but also have like more relaxed and private areas where they can focus on themselves, and also have like the security of nature around them. So that's a picture of our final idea now, but that's going to be explained furthermore.
Yes, so we were thinking like what has a positive impact on the city or on the city in general. And for us, it were strong communities, health and well-being, the local economy, and also nature and sustainability. And well, when it comes to sustainability, I think we kind of took the right path choosing clay and also the glass, because it's a leftover product, sort of. And yes, also sustainable energy sources, natural cooling, and public green areas would be part of that area. Then for local economy, we thought about gastronomy, workshops, studios, and cultural events and exhibitions. And for strong communities and health and well-being, we thought of inclusive spaces and accessibility, then places that all can enjoy together, and like opportunities to play, give mental support, and include the human scale, and also create a complex environment in general. Yes, and all these points we wanted to combine in like a children community center. Yes, our project is called Inside Out, and I don't know, I'll explain that later. We had these three main aspects. One was workshops, or is workshops and studios, because we want a place for children to follow their hobbies and give them support. But we also want a workspace for artists and manufacturers to produce local products, which they could have on a rather low cost if they share the room by like depending on time slots with the children. So there can be an exchange, and the adults can benefit from it in an economical way as well. Also, we wanted gastronomy to create a vibrant space and to attract people, and also to invite to stay and rest. And then for events and exhibitions, we need a multifunctional space for like sports, exhibition, theater, and to have a general exchange. Yes, so we also did some brief site analysis. First, we thought about like where there would be the not calmest, but like most sheltered area on the site, which is that corner on the left. And then, yeah, you can see we put the uses, functions, yeah. We put the functions, like what should go where, to have like the very open and inviting spaces towards the main street, and the more private spaces maybe in the back. And yes, also on the right graphic, you can see where the entrance would make sense. Yes. Since we wanted to go for an organic shape, we chose a grid that is in this hexagon shape, but still we follow, like the others, the grid of 4x4 square meters. And yes, but it just gives us more like opportunities to build in a modular way, and to also like grow, sort of like the buildings can evolve. And then, yes, on the right side, you can see 2 different colors. And the lighter hexagonics, they represent an area where there's no building, but still we wanted to have a defined space through panels or like sunshades. And then the orange bits, they represent building area. And we also wanted to sort of create like a circulation through our through the property, like that goes through courtyards sort of. Yes, and here you can see the courtyards, which are created by the order of the buildings. And we wanted the area to be surrounded by a green space as a transition zone to the other areas. Yes. Okay, so here you can see that we put focus on the inside-out relation, because when you're inside the building, you're obviously like, you have this feeling of space around you, but we wanted to create this feeling outside as well. And panels are an easy way to define space, and also they protect the building from rain and protect the outside from the sun. So yeah, we thought we could go for waxed linen because it's a very natural fabric, and it gives us everything we need, so to say. And also we can then have this interaction between the private and the public space in the building and outside the building, which is still an area.
Yeah, that's why it's called inside out as well, because it's not just about the community itself. So the community is the outside, but also each individual person itself, so the inside.
As my friend said, that we have actually many points to think about how to relate the proposal that we're gonna work on with the 3 phases that we have previously studied. So let me say about let's put some parameters to our design or our proposal according to these 3 phases. So the first phase, we can took some parameters to put in our design, and also for the second phase and the third phase. So let me start with the unit that we have, that we're gonna use in our proposal, the foundation unit. I mean, we start with the regular rectangular shape as a base unit. We have some reasons about like the glass and glass and clay brick, that it's easy to for the local to work on, the ability to build, I mean, by the local, easy to make and easy to create shapes as the regular rectangular shape. And also for the economical aspect, I mean, like we have the roofing, so we have to solve this economical issue by choosing the circular or maybe the dome roofing as we show here, as we see here. The next one. Maybe our possibilities in the start of the design was using the unit that we can use, like the rectangular regular unit, or we can use something like the platonic unit for some reason. The reason that we choose we're not choosing them, but we study the platonic shapes because of the connection between the face of each platonic shape with each others, like the dodecahedron or the octahedron maybe. So we start to generate some forms according to these units. Like we put some actually some algorithm to make the cubic shapes according to make the form that we need in the function, and also the platonic shapes also to create the same function and the same proposal. The next one. Okay. The suitable for children with physical and mental disabilities. This point actually was according to the children, maybe to the title of our course. So it's the echo of children. So we choose to work with the complexity of shapes because of the disabilities. Disability children maybe need this special spaces for their needs, maybe including children with disabilities. Yes, the next one. Okay, the growing process was actually something like according to the module that we have did on the land on the site, like the hexagonal module. So we can start by building one dome that contain maybe one function, and this dome could be maybe growing to contain more function, or that the function that we have maybe it also could be growing also. Maybe I have to say last one. So the function that we have, thinking about like the cafe, the gallery, the multi-use hall, maybe all of this function need to be like more flexible for the growing. Like maybe we can start with one space for each function, and then we can growing, or maybe we can add the space that we need. Okay, the next one. The construction technique, because if we use maybe we can call this this type like the voxelizing. So the voxelizing worked on with the two axes like the XY. So when we thought about the reconstruction or maybe the construction of these domes, we have to think about the axes that we're gonna work on. So we try to split maybe these domes or each space we have 4 slices, and we're gonna construct. We're gonna build maybe this slice each one by or one by one to get the form of the dome. The proposal, maybe we can see it here, like when we generate the four spaces for children with the roof window, maybe we can call it. Maybe we can call it also the aggregation of these units together to give me the form of this function. The next one. We are using here the clay with glass, so the glass could give me the light through into the space that we have. The next one also. We also think about the interior of this function, like if the children were someplace inside this form. So how or maybe how this form or how this interior would be affected, or how their feelings will be affected by this form or by this interior. Okay, the next one.
Yeah, you don't have to say something to all of the perspectives. I think
can just go through them
because we don't have that much time left anyways.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
When we started to talk about making people involved and make locals involved in designing the project, there was like a contradiction between the complexity we reached and with the ability to come and to use to build by themselves. Some of these parameters that generated that form might be important, some of them might not be, but the question by itself, like when we need a complex shape, could it be built by common or not. So we made some scenarios about, in case we have a complex shape, how the common could be built. The first one might be like reed supports along the slices. Each one has its pros and cons. This takes extra work for reed implementation. The pros is its sustainability and the cost efficiency. The next one, the formworks units, by making horizontal and vertical units based on bricks dimensions. Its cons, like it's hard to arrange for low and mid-skilled laborers, and its pros, few units could be used for the whole slices. So each one could be like dissolved and then implement on the next slice. Next one. Maybe we can, based on these slices, we can make a metal form. This form can hold the brick together. Its cons, of course, it's too expensive, it's heavy to carry and implement, and its pros, like it's easy to put bricks within without problems. The last one is might be like in treating each, like making several molds, but its problem, like it's hard to arrange for low and mid-skilled laborers, and extra costs for molds might require formwork to make it stable. The last one. So we came back to the same dilemma, like maybe when we have complex shapes, like how far we need these parameters that made the complex shape by itself. Do we need these algorithm or we don't need it? And the most important question, like to what extent we need to make people involved in this construction, especially in this phase. When we need them, maybe we have to get rid of some complexity to make it easier. So it's still open question. We didn't reach like the perfect techniques to form this complex structure, but the question by itself, how to make a complex structure easier for common, this is what we was discussing actually. Thank you.
Yes, I had to find my microphone again. Okay, thank you very much, the last group, for your presentation. So it's a tradition by now that I would ask Professor Haki to give his ideas and comments to your presentation. If you would like to go ahead, please.
The question, though, I did not understand the inside-outside concept. So could you briefly explain to me again what you mean by that?
Is my microphone still on? Yeah. The idea was that with this like very thick clay walls, you would have the clear feeling of being inside and being sheltered. And this feeling, we also wanted to have it outside. That was the main idea, like to also define a space which gives you kind of hold in the area which you're in. Is that understandable?
Yeah, and to build space for different functions. So functions that you need a more private or closed room to be inside, and functions that are more outside or more outgoing and that you actually do outside. And yeah.
Because when you talked about inside outside, I saw a tent on top of the structure. So what does that have to do with the inside outside idea?
Yeah, that's like how to define the space outside without using actual barriers like walls or something. So the tent gives you like the free flow of like moving sort of, but it still defines the space for you. So you still have the feeling of shelter when you're underneath it, but at the same time you have a space that is created by this very loose light structure.
So are you saying that this structure which you are building is used inside, and also it is used from outside because of its shape, that children can climb on it and play on it. Is that something you're talking, is that what you're saying?
That is part of it. Yes.
Yeah, because I thought this is a very interesting concept. I think you've done a superb job. That's how I see your work. The reason I'm saying that is that you took a very basic and simple material. Let me ask you another question. The images which you showed us, where you tried the bottle of glass and then it didn't work out, and then you used other type of glass and it didn't work out, until you reached the idea of having slices of glass in the brick itself. Was that actual experimentation which you've done, or it was theoretical?
No, we did it not, well, we didn't come up with the final one. That was actually the work of the other side of the team. But it was a process. Yeah, we all did some work on it and tried to experiment what we can reach. And first it didn't work, but then with this way, it kind of had the super nice glow from the inside.
I think this is a wonderful job. I think having this simple material and trying different possibilities to, because during the presentation you said we wanted to create our own material, and when you started you were talking about clay and building with clay, forming bricks or forming walls. These are techniques that have been done for a long time. So I didn't feel the creativity in that. But then when you introduced glass, again, we've seen the combination together. But the exciting thing for me was you actually doing the experimentation and going through the process of discovering what is the right combination between clay and glass that will give you a piece of brick of your own that you have done, that gives this very nice feeling, you said, resulting in a special and emotional atmosphere. And I think it can be emotional atmosphere, the way you are going to be able to combine them later on. But that part of the experimentation was very exciting for me, of the project, the actual experimentation of the glass and the clay itself. The other part, which was better presented in your project, is the children. I think you've taken the children issue more seriously than the other presentations. You've worked with what they wanted. You've analyzed their drawings, you've said, and you came up with certain ideas that were projected into the design itself. Now, I'm not discussing the result. I will discuss the result in a minute, but the idea itself and the process which you've gone through is very commendable, because originally this was part of the deal, and I think the other three groups have done a wonderful job working with the material, experimenting with the material, and presenting interesting solutions, but they did not come as far as you did in terms of bringing children into the project. Now, if I go to the results, I think your choice of, let me ask you another question. What is the deal of 4x4? Because all of you worked with 4x4. Why not 360 by 360?
To be honest, we just did analysis, and we were thinking of a grid that suits for everyone, and this seemed to be the outcome, right? So yeah. I don't know.
It's a very interesting question, because we have been taught for years that perfect grid is 60 centimeters, because then you have its multiplication to 120, and I don't know, this is good for the storage area, good for the corridor, good for the bathroom, but then you don't take into consideration the thickness of the wall. And if you take the thickness of the wall into consideration, the whole issue of 60 centimeters fall apart. So now I teach my students to forget about it and work with 4x4, because if you work with 4x4, you can come back to the 60 by 60 for the closet and for the, you know, this is, but I was interested in the fact that you ran away from the taboo of 60 centimeters and its multiplication, all of you, and you worked with 4x4.
Purpose, no?
Apparently they did. Apparently they did. But the form which you came up with and the possibilities of that form is very happy, very close to perhaps children. That's why I was telling you, can children climb on it? Because then I can see the inside, outside. I can see. And then at certain points you have it open in different directions so that children can go in and out, up and down. All that is very, 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 very exciting. Just to make it short, the last thing which I really appreciate is your self-testing. You wanted to know how would we be able to do it better for these people who are going to build it on their own. Shall we go with a simple form or go with a more complex form? And you introduced different ways of constructing a more complex form in an effort to help those who are going to do it. So I think in terms of method of working, logic of working, results which you came up with a very simple material is very commendable. I'm very happy with what you've done throughout the whole project. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Good. Thank you very much, Professor Haki, for your very positive feedback for this group. Is anybody who wants to give some comments or feedback? I think we also lost a lot of our guests, so maybe I'm the next one commenting, because it's good that Professor Haki talked about your project so positively, because he's right in everything he says. But I saw it very much through the glasses of an engineer, and that's why I became a bit afraid in the end how we could make this project work. It's absolutely true. I also see that you have really put the children and their needs very much into the center of your design. And you have taken that very, very seriously, and that you really derived your whole design at the site in very appropriate steps, and somehow in very theoretic steps. And then the material of mud, which is always a super interesting material because it's natural. It can be fully recycled and everything. At the same time, it's a traditional material, so people also have maybe some, there are some obstacles. Not everybody might see the material positively because it's a material of the past and not a material of the future. And you took this material and you did something new with it to integrate the glass and the light issues, and you make it something very kind of emotional and haptically appealing, as we can see on that little image in the lower left corner. And you did your experiments and you created really something that is beautiful in terms of atmosphere. And I also love your pixel approach. I told you before. So I have the problem that I like it a lot, but I'm afraid we cannot build it like this, because if we want to construct a dome structure, of course, we have to very carefully follow the appropriate compressive only kind of mode that such a structure has. And if maybe you can switch at one of those sections you showed on the later slides.
You mean the ones at the very end?
Somehow there we are. Yes. That's not, yeah, okay, leave this for a while because there were some that even looked more challenging. So let's better leave this. So you made up your idea how this can be constructed, but see these blocks that you have there in the middle, they would simply fall down. Yes, you would really need some beams really to support them. Because if you want to build an arched shape, which in the end the vault is kind of a barrel vault, you can say, it's more or less an arch shape, a parabolic shape, then you need a lot of material that kind of follows the exactly right shape. And if then like two bricks come together just on an edge, this would not work, of course. You can make it work. Also the false vaulting, that just, putting stones on top of one another, if you give them a lot of additional weight on top, then it works well. So you would need to make your shell somehow thicker. So there would be like two ways, either making it thicker to really make the shape work, or maybe really to think, why not using these blocks as they are as blocks and making the roof something that is lighter, since you also have the tent fabric on top, and the walls have that heaviness. I know it's your idea of having these caves, of course. So yes, interesting. Not yet all the problems are solved, and in that respect, especially the last two groups are very different from one another. One group that maybe does not have that emotional touch of the material, but is very far in showing how it can really be realized. And here, still we have a bit more of a vision, a very beautiful vision in terms of a building from mud, though. But it would be interesting for me to hear from the Syrian side. What do you think? How would people react to such a building, in terms of mud being a material of the past? And
if you allow me, I do see your point perfectly, Professor. I totally agree in terms of the construction side of it. But I looked at their drawings as conceptual, not actual at all. At that level, you can accept them. But if they claim that they are actual drawings for actual things, then actual construction things, then they are in trouble. But I see the possibility that they can shift them and fix them in that way instead of having them in a row. I see the possibility of getting key and lock, and then they can base them on each other, and then creating a more even interesting visually structure and structurally more sound. But going back to your question, how would people in Syria see working with clay again? I think it will be fully accepted. That's my feeling. There are a few experimentations working with clay. I remember the college here in Damascus University has gone through a number of experimentation in the past using clay. I personally see that it is something that we have to explore out of need. I think if it's not suitable for the city, it is definitely very suitable for any area beyond the city in many villages. I can see these structures which they have created, not in every single home in the village.
Now the sound got lost. Can anybody still hear Professor Haki? No.
Frozen as well.
Frozen.
So I don't see that there is any problem accepting the old material again, especially that there are
Okay, Professor Haki, we have some interruptions of your sound, so apparently we cannot hear you. I cannot hear you. I think the rest of the group also cannot hear you.
No. Me too, yes.
Okay, somehow these gentlemen got lost. Okay, so let's then, for now, maybe we leave the shared screen and switch our cameras on to see each other as the whole group to kind of have a final talk and conclusion.
Maybe someone from the attendees would like to ask. He raised her hand, and I would like to give him the allow to talk. Frau Mrs. Dima, glaube ich. I think she's named Dima Rikabi.
Yes. Can you hear me?
Yes, we have hear you.
I am Dima Rikabi, graduated from Damascus University. I'm so happy to join this meeting. It remembers me by Hassan Fathi when he said, "Look under your feet and build." But I have some question about how you manage the earthquake and the weather, which is so snowy in Zabadani and the infra works. I think that the four solution that didn't manage this thing. And thank you all.
All right, thank you, Dima, for your question.
Mahmoud.
Okay, Ziwa is back.
Mahmoud, do you hear me?
Ziwa, are you back? Can you hear us?
Yes. Can you just give me the co-host to open the camera again?
Yes. Can you do so, Mahmoud?
Yes, now it's fine.
Ah, perfect. It got dark again. Okay.
Yeah, I think I'm done. I did try to answer your question. I think it will be accepted. No problem.
Okay. Thank you very much. Yeah, because you got lost, we kind of switched the cameras on to somehow come together for a final discussion and conclusion. And there was just another question raised. That was a question concerning the weather conditions in Al-Sabani with cold winters and earthquake issues, how we would take this into account.
So, should we like?
Who would like to answer? I wouldn't like to answer to this question. It's a serious one and and a correct one to ask. Who would like to answer?
I think that we can answer for this question. I mean, for our group. First of all, for the earthquakes, as we said, for the joinery system, each node has its own ability to carry a specific kind of loads. So we have one of the loads which will be able to handle the earthquakes things, the shear loads, I mean, and other loads which will be like which will be able that our system will be able to handle it as it's supposed to be. And for the snow, as Helmut showed the details, there was we thought of it like, but we didn't thought of it deeply, but because of the drainage and all of the things, we've thought it. We've mentioned that we have made a drainage on the roof by itself, and the roof should handle like heavy loads by itself, because it will be made of so many layers, so it will handle like serious loads. And we have a drainage for that will take the water away or the snow away, and that's for our own system, I mean.
Okay, so we got one specific answer from one team, and in that respect, you're right. Your project with all the tying up nodes and the bamboo-like material is really a very good one when it comes to earthquake. Actually, that's a plus for your team. Absolutely. I mean, earthquake design, you can either react with pure strength, or you can react with systems that are absorbing the energy well, and yours would be a system that absorbs the energy well, of course. And yeah, I mean, the question of temperature and weather issues, cold temperatures, and the building skin is, of course, always an issue. It depends on whether it's just a temporary shelter. It depends on whether it's a longer lasting element that is shown. It depends on what the demonstrator should also kind of show the people. I mean, we cannot just build simple shelters and pretend the people would now have a perfect system to live in. But of course, it's kind of also some mitigation system where people at least would have a starting point that can be adopted and that is kind of modular, that can be added up. And I think adding an insulation, adding a proper building skin would somehow be feasible on most of the existing systems. So not every question in terms of building construction might be answered, of course, today. So now, if there are no further questions, I think we have taken really a long time. Sorry? Arne? No, we cannot hear you.
This was not directed to you, sorry.
Okay. Good. So, I mean, I would say we make the final round. Siwa, are you here? Somewhere in the dark, hidden in the dark.
But as usual, it's super dark here.
Yeah.
Just can see my teeth and my eyes.
Absolutely. Good. So I would say we kind of bring this session to an end by having some reflection somehow from all of us, from your side, Siwa, from our side, from the students. How shall we start?
Yeah, I mean, like for us, I mean, like regard to us, I mean, like it was super nice. It was, I mean, like we didn't expect it. I mean, like it was a big challenge actually. I mean, like for all of us, I mean, since, I mean, like we had, as I mentioned before, I mean, we had the Corona and we had the, I mean, like we have like the 8 student, like from different background, like from, I mean, like Syrian student and also with the 8 from German. It's super difficult to catch each one. Now they are smiling maybe. To catch everyone, like to just like to put it on the appointment, to let them to meet, to like have a different background. Everyone like have his time. I mean, but I mean, it was nice. I mean, like it was a big challenge, and like we appreciate all this time. I mean, like what they have done. I mean, like it's a big challenge and it's big effort actually. And that's what we didn't expect it. I mean, the last things, I mean, like, and also, but it was working smoothly also, like when we went, I mean, like to the, to meet the children, when we did the workshop with the children, when we talk with them, like every processing it has done, I mean, like with all of you, I mean, it was perfect. It was nice. The result was great, great effort. I mean, also like I was also like expect more than like to take to study, as also what Dr. Haki like he just like say about to study and analyze the children behavior more to take from them. That's what I expected more actually. I mean, I see in the presentation, but actually, you know, it's super nice. It's super nice to see different background, different view. Like someone like using the parametric, someone using like the traditional architecture, someone using like the mud. I mean, super nice to see different points. Was nice effort, big result. I mean, thanks for everyone like who made this one actually, who made this effort, because without any one of you, I mean, like these things, it doesn't make happen. And we hope also like this will continue to not end it here. We should continue to build something, to make something, to fabricate it, to make it realistic. That's it would be as a result for all of us. to bring this effort till the end. And like we hope to keep in contacting in this and just go further and go forward for this. Thank you for everyone. Thank you, Karsten, for that. Thank you, Mahmoud, for the big effort. Thank you also for all the jury to participate with us, and thank you for every student to participate in this workshop. And we apologize for the extreme effort that you have it and more overloaded actually. That's which you didn't expect it, but I hope that you got what you want and that you enjoy in this course and enjoying this information actually, because it's a big knowledge for all of us. We learn a lot from you, and also I am sure also you got also something from all of each other. And we hope we can do something. Also thank you for Sarah. She's here also for the coordination, and thank you for all of you guys. That's my word.
Okay, thanks a lot, Ziwa. I would dare to be next. So I think my special thanks, of course, and I think of all of us, the whole group, goes to Ziwa and the team for coming up with the idea for organizing all of this, which is purely based on their personal commitment. One has to say, we did not address them. Somehow, of course, through the magic hands of Mahmoud, this idea was brought to us, and we found it so beautiful that we wanted to make it happen. And it's purely the commitment of Ziwa and Dr. Kinder and everybody who was participating, also on the jury and the guest lectures we had. I don't know how much money Ziwa had to pay for Patrick Schumacher to be invited, but if you have a name like Ziwa, you just call Patrick, you say, can you please give a guest lecture for half an hour? So even that's crazy that that we had him here as a guest lecture. And for the rest, it feels awkward because it's a summer school, but we've never met in reality. Not even the people sitting in Germany. I've not even seen Mahmoud in real life, nor the other students. And you, at least in Syria, you have met. But here we even didn't meet. And of course, this should be kind of a party that we celebrate all together and have a barbecue at night. But now we're sitting in front of the screens. This is how this semester is.
We can do it on Zoom.
Yes, for sure there are options. For sure people are doing that. Exactly, we do it on Zoom. we just start our grills and we broadcast them. Yes, and also Mahmoud, thank you for all your commitment and bringing this to us and making it happen. As I said to you a million times before, I would have liked to be more supportive on that course, but it was time-wise a bit tricky. But we made a great starting point of a future collaboration. And now, of course, it's time to thank all the students for being part of this experiment. It also was, literally speaking, an experiment, how we can put all this together and how multicultural and via Zoom and in Corona times we could make this happen. And I think most of you did not expect this course would be so demanding. Neither did I, to be frank. It's just Siwa kept the level high constantly, and really, really, you can be proud of yourself, of what you have produced. And I think nobody will fail. I think we can make that sure, and we can say that. So you don't have to be afraid. I mean, it was your commitment, and it's beautiful outcome and results. And I also like that the results are not very homogeneous. Yes, we do not have like one result. We have some that are more visionary. We are others that have like already 2 feet on the ground and that we almost could build tomorrow. And this is exactly how it should be. So this cannot be the end. This somehow is also a starting point, and the question how things can proceed in future. But maybe before Siwa and I have a word on how we could proceed, or we would like to proceed? No, he was switching on his torch.
I just switch on the flash. Sorry, what's the question?
No problem. Of course, we want to hear your opinions and your thoughts of this course, how things are, how they were. In the end, everything is fine, hopefully. But please let us have your thoughts.
Yeah, I mean, like, it's also, as I said, I mean, like before, I mean, like, it's a great result. I mean, like, actually, I mean, like, the things also which I like, I mean, like, to, because I mean, usually, I don't like, I mean, like, just to keep, I hope, I mean, all of you, I mean, just to be, I mean, last step to keep it in your mind, I mean, like, to push last things, I mean, like, to make it realistic. To build something, I mean, like, that's, I mean, I think what all of you hope to do, I mean, like, to build something in the end, because I mean, the result which you have it and the effort which you make it, I mean, it's not, I mean, like, it would be super nice to continue this effort. I mean, like, especially, I mean, like, you have a super different idea, background, fact, aspect. I mean, that's, I mean, super nice to make it all like in one prototype, it's by signature, like, of all of you. And that's what it would be, and nice, and like, which I hope also to continue this course to, I don't want to say at the end of the course. I hope, I mean, like, to finish it, I mean, like, fabricate something. I mean, like, especially when I just also see Arne in his presentation also, like, they say also, we want to do something in Hamburg and we want to get some funding from them and then we would ship it. So, I mean, there is the hope, I mean, for all of us, I mean, to do something on the realistic, to go further, which I hope, I mean, for all of you, I mean, the goal of this course, I mean, was not just like to do some nice renders or like to do nice visualization or do some just like small workshop and just give the certificate and that's it. No, we want to do something realistic. We want to testing the material. We want to go further. I mean, like, just keep forward with the research which you did, keep forward which the project which you did. I mean, it's infinity research. We can do as much as possible. We can be with you until the end. We want to try to build it. I mean, to make something, to fabricate it, to do it like until the end. I mean, like, it's a nice and big result, big challenge for all of us. We want to make it realistic. That's my things, I mean. Yes, thank you.
All right, more comments from you, Arne. What about you? Make a start.
I have always comments. Yes, I have a pet peeve, and that is the CP stuff, because I signed up for the 2.5 CPs, which is the rest I have in my studies. But you know, sometimes you gotta swallow a frog. So. That's what we did. And now this course is over and I get 2.5 CPs and I'm very happy about that. And yeah, nothing else. But next time, keep the workload up front.
All right, I mean, you get 2.5 CPs that you can forget in a year, but this experiments,
yes, that was really nice.
And let's say the output that you and your group created is something that is of much higher value.
And where's my Ayman? Where's Ayman? Is he offline again? Oh, he's always offline. The interpersonal stuff was the best thing about this, because Ayman is a very funny man, and I came to like him a lot. Where is he now? Now I'm telling you about this and he's not even here.
Just sorry guys, like, because Prof. Haki, he want to leave, so maybe also you want to say something before to leave.
Yeah, thank you very much for inviting me. It was really a pleasure to see such a beautiful project and the approach which you have taken. I'm particularly pleased with the joint project between students here, faculty here, and students and faculty in Germany. I am in particular interested and excited about the fact that it was Germany, not other countries, especially because of the feeling which a lot of architects here in Syria and in the Middle East have in connection with architecture in America as opposed to architecture in Germany. We are still very influenced by the Bauhaus ideas and vision, not necessarily by the forms, but the vision of the Bauhaus. In Syria, we have been studying and teaching based on the Bauhaus idea. Now, whether you in Germany still accept that idea and that concept, or you are away from it, that's a different story. But the functionality of it, the simplicity of it, the practicality of it, and then now added to it the environmental approach, and now we're talking about the social dimension of it, all coming together in a more harmonious way than if you would like to talk about postmodernism and how it can connect itself to in the environment and the society, or deconstructivism and how it can connect itself conceptually, philosophically. So we still believe in the Bauhaus main direction, not necessarily with the exact ways that Gropius, for instance, or Mies have done it, but the spirit is still there. And a lot of architects who are excited about issues related, as I said, to the environment and social concerns, are more keen to see German architecture than other European countries or the States. We have nothing against them. All my education is in the States, so I'm a United States child, but still I can see the difference between one approach and the other. I was very pleased with the project which you as a group have worked with, because it was much easier for you to take, for instance, here a new settlement and design it according to the Dubai or Qatar way of designing the Disneyland kind of architecture. So you did not go into that approach. I don't know whether our friends in Germany know about Marota City. Have you talked ever about Marota City? Yeah. Which is the effort to bring that kind of Disneyland architecture to Syria in a time when Syria is in a complete destructive state. So your selection of the project, the way you approached it, the way you dealt with it, and as you said, in these kind of difficult times, is commendable. I'm honored that you have invited me to the jury, and I would love to see. Thank you very much, and I would love to see where it will go. Our dear friend in Germany, professor and students, thank you very much for being with us, and hopefully we'll see you again. Thank you very much. I have to leave. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you very much, Professor Haki. And great to hear that the Bauhaus simplicity and functionality is still so much of your concept of teaching and your approach in architecture in Syria. And I think even with the state the country is in, and with also what has been done during that course, it even can be seen as a chance somehow to even add on, let's say, sustainability, social sustainability, urban concepts, as well as material concepts, to work with materials that can be kept in a recycling system. That also can be seen as a chance to do something new, because the whole country has been shaken. And within our country, things are somehow a bit tight and fixed, and there's a strong industrial lobby and such things. And the situation you might face in Syria after the destruction might also be something that really has a high potential to start things better from scratch and to overtake us.
Dream on, dream on, dream on. But the beauty is to work together. The beauty is to work together. That's the beauty of it, not to compete.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. Okay.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Okay. Bye-bye. Good. Who else would like to have some words, reflections? Katja, yes, please.
Yes, I just wanted to say it was a really nice opportunity to meet a lot of students from different countries. I mean, in our group, we have our culture from Colombia, from Mexico, from Syria, and we also work in 3 different countries. Sobi is not in Syria, and we are in Germany. So we had like 3 different times of hour. And once was, Zoe was 1 hour before us, and we were on the middle, and then Abt was 1 hour later. But at the end, we could always meet up together. Maybe one time Abt was not there, or me, or Helmut, or Sobi. But we handle it to get together every time. And what I really appreciate of my team is that even if we have some problems, we try it always to solve it together. Like no one had like this part of trying to do all alone. We were always as a team there, and I'm really glad I can work with the 3 of them. I already knew Helmut, but I'm so glad I know now Abt and Sobi. And I also want to thank Sarah. Sarah, I mean, sometimes it was very difficult to get all the 16 students together, but I really appreciate you were there always and trying to push us. I mean, sometimes we don't have the time you wish to do the things, but thank you. And also Mahmoud and already Kasten and Siba. This is a really nice opportunity. I actually wasn't making this course because of the credits. I think so we end up also, but we really enjoyed this course and we learn a lot. Thank you.
And I see that your group and all the group show us that cooperation worked well, also with the multicultural, and I'm very appreciate to meet you all, and maybe we see each other in Syria. Maybe. Thank you all of you.
Yes, I need to send chocolates to Abt there and to Sophie.
Maybe maybe we make an excursion to Damascus together.
Yeah, that would be awesome, because I have some friends from Damascus that I met in Germany, and it was so cool meeting another too, and that would be just awesome.
Good, great, thank you very much. Would somebody else like to add something?
Yeah, from my side, I want to thank you for this great experience, and we really learned a lot from this exchange and this joint research. And I had a pleasure meeting you all and working with you, and also exchanging our ideas. We learned from you, and hopefully you learned something from us from Syria as well. And looking forward for another cooperations, because it's really exciting, this workshop. Thank you so much. And thank you, Professor Karsten, for everything.
thank you, Sarah, for everything. I think you kind of organized it all in the background. I mean, I think you're the secret queen of this course, somehow doing all the work in the background. And of course, yes, also again, Mahmoud.
Thank you.
Okay, good.
Okay, I would like also to add something.
Yes, please.
To express like my gratitude for this workshop on two levels, actually, on a personal level and on professional level. On a personal level, like Katia said, like working with our team was really cool, was really fun. We didn't have problems, and also we learned a lot from each other. And we also learned from other groups from Syria and Germany, different approaches. And on a like a professional level, because I always wanted to do a master's degree in this kind of stuff, and now I think I have something to start from, or some kind of research to focus on, maybe for future development, maybe in my master's thesis or something like this. So I would really like thank you all, and thank Sarah, Ziwar, Bilal, Karsten, Mahmoud, everyone, Dr. Kinda, everyone, because it was really enriching for me on a professional level, because it helped me like make a foundation for my maybe research, if you will. So yeah, thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Sobi.
Thank you very much, Sophie.
Who else would still like to add something?
Maybe I can say something, please.
Absolutely, sure, go ahead.
Yes, I mean, thank you so much for this wonderful course, and it was actually very informative for all of us. And as Subhi said, we learn from each other and from you, like Professor Karsten and Mahmoud and Mr. Ziwar. All of you were actually very informative, and thank you for us. And maybe Yana and Lennon wasn't here, but actually I want actually to say thanks for them, because also there was very helpful with us, and where there was have creative ideas and to work with each other in very comfort way. Yes, thank you so much.
I have also funny geschichte, how can I say it? Also, story with Abdurrahman Dabul, as he presents the first or I think the second presentation. Then I see my locations from in the old city in Damascus, and I need the photos from this place. Then I ask him where you get these photos, and he give me the photos what I would like to need. Right now I make my thesis in this location, and it was a good Treffpunkt, also Treffpunkt, also how can I say it? Meet point in this course to get this photos, and it was Schicksal, how can I say that maybe in English? Yes, and I'm very thankful for Abdurrahman Dabul to meet him.
I wish I was more helpful, actually. Maybe maybe in the next time. Okay. Thank you too, actually.
Okay. Very good. So if anybody wants to, feel free. Just take the screen and say something. Helmut is so silent. What happened, Helmut? Come on.
I knew that. I knew that it would come.
Come on. You're on camera with your special microphone.
With the mic.
I just can only repeat the same thing what Sophie and Katja said. It was amazing. The last 3 months with the seminar and the summer school, I didn't expect that much. I have to be honest at first, but at least it was worth it, because the things what we learned within the team and as well as the whole group, how to interact with so many cultures, so many different personalities as well. That was very, very good. And for me, was it as well something to develop my character as well. So it was a very good experience. And now for my bachelor thesis next semester as well, there are many ideas that maybe I will have to focus on. And yeah, I'm very proud of that, of the result as well. That was very cool.
Okay, very good. All right, then I think we took a lot of time, so maybe kind of Ziwa and I, we wrap it up, the two of us. I can start, and if I say something wrong, you just interrupt me, Ziwa. So we had a discussion thinking about how, yes, future collaborations can be, or what can be the future steps, and what can we kind of build upon, literally speaking, from your genius output. And there's that idea that we could look for some potential sponsors or organizations that might be able to support bringing something really to reality in future. And then if we manage to be successful on that, maybe Ziwa wants to add something on it, we would like you to exclusively, if you want to, I mean, the course officially is over with today, but if you want to, of course, to represent your designs again, to then come up with a conclusion what could go into, let's say, a step of really an implementation. And I think there are potentially, maybe not every project we can build one-to-one, one more, one less, but there are a lot of good ideas, and sometimes it's also an idea of putting certain things together. I mean, several times in other courses, we have designed something with students that has been implemented into reality, and the reality of the implementation was never one of the projects. It was always kind of a combination that then still was changed and so on. I would also, I mean, as Arne's group was introducing a very good timeline already, how things can be, even as a mock-up, be built up in Hamburg. I can see something like this in future, absolutely. Let's keep on thinking of that, how we can do these things, whom to bring together to go for the next steps, and then we would contact each other and see. There's nothing, no must. If one has time and one wants to, we can keep on developing this. And yeah, I mean, one thing is really building kind of a unit there in Syria and see if that is accepted and what can be done out of it. And the other, let's say, potential that I see is your material developments, like also these pre-stressed stones that we have seen, such things that could be developed also in future, developed and tested. All right, Siwa, did I say that somehow correctly?
No, everything was fine. I mean, like, thank you for that. I mean, like, yeah, I mean, like, we hope, as you said, also like to do something. I mean, like to also just make it for the next step. I mean, like to fabricate it, to see the sponsor. Actually, we are working on it, like for the sponsor and for this. I mean, after we had this meeting yesterday, so Dr. Kinda, if she was there also, like she would add it for that, but actually she said like about the meeting, so we can also schedule a new meeting, for example, with them, for example, with the UNDP, shows them some result, for example, and start to think about the fabrication processing, as you said also. But I mean, like for sure it would be, I mean, like that's, I mean, what I saw some group, I mean, like working well, I mean, with cost estimation, and actually that's what they need. I mean, like the cost estimation was very well. I mean, for some group, I mean, that's what they are looking for. I mean, for the unit, how much it would be cost. So otherwise, I mean, like everything's fine. I mean, like, yes, thank you.
All right, yes. This was our idea with UNDP to take it to the next step.
So should we like expect some news from the UNDP, or maybe meet with them or something like this, if I understood correctly?
Yeah, that's what's supposed to be. Okay. Looking for it.
Perfect. Thank you.
Okay. I couldn't hear what Siwa was saying. I don't know if you could all hear it, but yes, this was the idea to bring these guys from UNDP into, or to meet them in another meeting, and then exclusively show them the results and see what can be a next step when it would come to an implementation.
Okay.
So good, perfect. We have all your contacts, so we can contact you anytime and see how things can go on and develop. Okay, so Siwa, time to say goodbye for now, for the time being. End this session and this course kind of officially for today. And I'm pretty sure that we will keep on contacting you for whatever. Publication, implementation, and further steps. All right.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much for everything.
Shukran.
Shukran.
Thanks to all of you.
I hope the next Monday I wouldn't like I would you and like all of you.
Yeah, we regularly switch on Zoom at 12.
Yeah, just like open it.
Something will be missing.
Okay, and Arne, he will send an email. Okay, why you didn't send me an email?
Exactly, I will complain. Every
okay, Arne, but the course is finished. But yeah, but I have to complain.
Yeah, it is my nature. I cannot work.
So Sarah also looking for your email, Arne.
Perfect.
Also as a tutor.
So,
but you greet the email without my Zoom meeting. Then I will end the meeting right now. I would like to say goodbye. Thank you, all of you. Kasim, would you like to say something?
It's all said.
Halas.
I said too much anyway.
Halas.
Have a nice evening. Great meeting you, and for sure see you again.
Adios. Ciao.
Bye.
Bye.